Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Journey into Comics with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stone.
I am a god, you dull creature.
Hey guys, and welcome to another BrandoCast right here on the Journey into Comics podcast. If you're tuning into a BrandoCast, then you're pretty sure it's about video games, and what a week to talk about video games. E3 was this week, and holy crap, what an E3. We're going to get into that in just a minute, but before we dive into E3 this year, I want to thank everybody who was involved with the 50th episode last week, and I'm just going to run down everybody. It's a long list, so stay with me. I want to thank Kevin Kraft and Shuddy Boy from the Mad Scientist Party Hour podcast. I want to thank Seek Donnelly, who is involved with Awesome Comics and their new book, Sons of the Devil, doing really good out there. I got to read some of it. Pretty cool. I wish I could have read it all, but hey, got too busy last week with the 50th and all that stuff. I want to thank Silent Rob for coming out of his endless abyss, breaking his silence, talking a little bit last week. I want to thank Nick Torres from The Region. I want to thank Blaine Tyner from The Fallen Mind. It's his little band project he's got going on. I want to thank my co-host Nate, who's not here tonight because it's a BrandoCast. I want to thank my buddy Mike, who was on the E3 preview, who was going to join us here tonight. Couldn't make it, so I'm here with the last guy who was on last week's podcast, the one and only Wes Uhas, a.k.a. Westicles of the Fans Perspective podcast, over on the BrandoCast Podcast Network. Wes, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here again. Good times.
Oh, yeah, man, it's awesome. This is the first time that you and I have ever been on, just the two of us.
Yeah, just a mano-a-mano.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah. I'm really excited because you and I used to spend quite a mini hour
Yeah.
discussing video games when we lived together.
Late into the night, discussing many, many things.
Oh, yeah. And I'm pretty sure we've discussed some of the things that happened, actually, at this E3. But we're gonna dive right into that. Last week's big long weekend with 50th episode, and then the next day, going to the next day, having to put that show up, and then tuning in. I mean, Game of Thrones finale was last week too.
Yeah, it was.
So I actually skipped that to watch the Bethesda press conference live, so then I could go back and watch Game of Thrones and stay off of social network. But
I actually didn't even watch the Game of Thrones finale till like 2 days ago. I was too busy.
Oh, man. But Wes, Bethesda.
Yeah, Bethesda. That was a hell of a way to kick off a first E3 conference ever.
I know, dude. This is their first one. And the first thing that I got to say is that I tuned in on Twitch. And did you have any lag with your stream at all?
Well, I actually did not get to watch Bethesda live.
Okay.
So it wasn't streaming. I watched through, or actually, no, that's not entirely true. I watched the tail end, probably the last 15 minutes live on YouTube.
Okay.
And it was fine on my end.
All right. For me, I kept having this weird sort of lag, and it kind of looked like, I can liken it to the Cafe 80s from Back to the Future 2. Where the audio was almost perfect, but like the video quality they were really jerking around very badly. And eventually it sort of straightened itself out. But they kicked off the show, Wes, with Doom.
Yeah, Doom 4, full gameplay reveal.
I know, man. And basically,
It's really harkening back to the old school arcade Dooms, when they were really arcadey.
Oh, yeah, man. Pretty much my thoughts on it is like it's classic Doom with a few tweaks. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
exactly
old school run and gun, no regen health, none of that stuff that goes on today. I thought it had really good atmosphere. It was very violent.
It looked like fun.
Oh yeah, man. There was a bit in there during the first gameplay thing that they did. The dude gets his arms ripped off him, and then he gets to beat to death with them.
I know, that was pretty phenomenal. That freaking jetpack skeleton,
Mm-hmm.
I always thought those were weird enemies because they've shown up in Doom before, and it's just like, wow.
Oh, I know.
Insta-killed, arm ripped off and beaten. It's just, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Hell of a way to go.
I totally agree. I played Doom way back in the day on the PC when it first came out. I had a buddy with it. He had like Wolfenstein, and I sat out. I think I may have played Doom on 64.
Well, it was on there.
I think I played it on 64. I'm trying to remember because it's been so long since I actually played a proper Doom. But seeing this made me want to jump right back in.
Oh hell yeah! It has like kind of the aesthetics that Doom 3 had, but it somehow managed to make it feel more like it was just the old school games with modern graphics.
Exactly. One thing
it looked really cool.
Oh yeah, man! One of the things that they showed that was kind of cool was it's called the Doom Shop Map, where you could create your own online multiplayer type of thing.
Oh yeah, that was really neat.
And create your map, scenarios, goals. You could share that.
Good plan.
Yeah,
that'll make it a lot more multiplayer possibilities, which is a limit for pretty much every multiplayer ever.
Oh, I know. You can do so many different things, man. You can even create like the old school four-player like deathmatch. You know.
Yeah.
So, kicking this show off with Doom was really neat because Bethesda altogether didn't have a whole lot to show, but they did have a lot to show about a few.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they put on a huge display for a few games, and they were just blockbuster games. And then they just kind of had a few other small things to show.
Yeah, I mean, they moved on. They introduced BethesdaNet.
Yeah.
Which it seems like it's going to be like a central hub for like everything Bethesda, forums, and all this stuff. And yeah. I'm actually going to harken back to this a little bit later on. I wonder if this is going to be kind of like what Ubisoft does with their little kind of online integration. Uplay, there it is. I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
It
might be, actually.
I kind of worry about that because anytime that this stuff kind of gets brought in, it makes me think of EA with SimCity, and there's some other stuff they've done it with, but where you have to always be online to play the game. I really worry about that.
What they tried with Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm. Bethesda's not that kind of company. I hope that this is just something that they can, where you can easily connect your games to like Bethesda servers and stuff like that.
That would be really nice if that's all it was.
Yes. Just moving on, they showed a game called Battlecry, which I think I've seen once before.
It's kind of neat. It doesn't appeal directly to me since it's pretty much just a straight multiplayer game. Not that I don't appreciate good multiplayer. It just doesn't immediately appeal, though it does look nice and flashy.
Yeah, it reminded me of like a kind of a beat 'em up version of like Team Fortress or something.
That's exactly what it is, as far as I can tell.
Right. The worldwide beta, you can sign up for that by June 28th, I think he said. Then we got our first glimpse at Dishonored 2.
Yes.
Now, Wes, I never got the chance to play the first one. I heard about it, but did you ever play the first one?
Devoutly. Like, I picked that game up, and I probably played it every waking hour for about a week until I just demolished it. It was like some of the best things of the Thief series mixed with a few of the great things about the Deus Ex series, mixed in with a little BioShock and splashed into this awesome steampunky Victorian London dystopia. And it was just awesome in pretty much every way.
So what did you think of this new glimpse at the new one?
I loved it. Well, I mean, it was a little more techy than I was expecting, like there are mechs and such, and that room just folding away. But it still fits the aesthetic of the games, so I can't complain really. And it's obviously probably 15 years in the future since you're playing as the little girl from the first one.
Okay.
Which, awesome reveal in my opinion. I think it's pretty cool that you can play her for the new protagonist.
Now, I want to say they also said that, yeah, you can kind of pick between her and, like, the original. Was that the original protagonist?
I didn't hear anything about Corva being playable, but he will be in the game.
Okay. I want to say they did say that you could choose your character, and, of course, that's coming out for PC, Xbox One, PS4. They also announced the Dishonored Definitive Edition, up-res version of the original one coming out on the Xbox, PS4, and PC as well.
I'll be picking that up.
Yeah, that also includes all the DLC as well. So
yeah, that's actually the main reason I'm picking up a remaster. Not a bad thing in my book. Plus DLC, you've got my money.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool because I don't actually own too many remasters, but one thing that I'm actually looking at are like games that I never got to play on the last gen. that are getting made into remasters.
Which is happening a lot, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, not to go too off topic here into a tangent, but I got to play Sleeping Dogs, and that went free on PS Plus. And
hell yeah.
I for a free game, I thought that game was awesome.
It is. It's like what True Crime should have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome martial arts, Asian steeped, fucking awesome GTA clone almost.
Well, see, yeah, and if I remember correctly, it's actually the evolution of True Crime. That game was originally True Crime Hong Kong.
Yep.
And, I was like, I want to pick that up. I actually want to own it for my collection. And then they said, remastered. I said, I'll wait.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's cool that with some of these remasters that I never got to play. They showed a little bit of the new ESO expansion, this is the ESO that came out to consoles?
Yeah, that's really all they showed off, just the newest version of it.
Okay. Speaking of Elder Scrolls, they also announced Elder Scrolls Legends, which looked like Hearthstone, but with Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I'm gonna just preclude myself from talking about it because I really just don't care.
I don't either, man. It is what it is.
I mean, they started to show off Elder Scrolls stuff, and I was like, am I that lucky? Do I get Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 4? And I quickly realized that wasn't the case and was like, okay, what the hell kind of shit on the platter am I getting served?
Well, you did get one of the two.
I did. I knew I was getting Fallout 4.
Of course. And they kind of did that little fake out where they were like they weren't going to talk about Fallout 4.
Yeah, like we expected that after that 2 days before E3 announcement.
Yeah, something like that. And they started off, and I wasn't sure how much we were going to get.
I didn't think we were going to get near as much as we did.
Yeah, when they started off with the concept art, I was like, okay, are we just going to get like a kind of a CG trailer when they're going to talk about new stuff they're doing? And then it goes right in. There's a last shot from the concept art that shows kind of like before the bombs, and they say it starts before the bombs, and it goes right into gameplay where you customize your character, where he's in front of the mirror and there's no sliders. You're just moving your stick around, morphing his face and everything.
Much better looking way to customize your character's appearance.
Oh, I know, dude. I thought it was kind of funny and tied in. It has that whole sequence kind of had that kind of Fallout style of like just humor. It's like
it did, because you make the adjustment and your wife would be like, I don't know if that's the right look for you.
Right. And the one thing I always liked about Fallout is that yes, it's a game, yes, it's an expansive world, but to me sometimes it has almost kind of like the Hideo Kojima kind of effect where they're like, in the game you're very well aware that you're playing a game sometimes.
Yeah, there's a meta sense to it.
Yeah, exactly. And they did that too. One thing I did think was kind of neat is that you actually kind of create the appearance of both the male and the female, and you can choose which one you want to play as.
Yeah, which is good. Female protagonist. I was just excited that they both have voices.
Yes. They're going a little bit further deep into that, and they're giving your character more of a defined character. It's not just you. It's actually a character.
And you actually get to make real dialogue decisions and talk and all that. I mean, I'm okay with that. And a game like that is only going to be an improvement for me.
I totally agree. I mean, it does sort of limit a little bit, but what it limits, it actually expands upon with more characterization.
Yeah, it makes it feel more like you're making this character and playing it out, rather than you just making a model for you to run around in.
Right. Now, when you create the couple, it actually generates a baby based on the two...
That was actually one of the coolest features I saw.
Based upon, like, the little bit of creatism that you put into what these characters look like, it generates a baby.
With a name. That the game will actually pronounce.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think they put, like, in, like, 1,000...
Yeah, I think he said like something near 1,000 names of common names for it to take on.
I do wonder if you can put the name in, if you have like a weird spelling, if you have to like spell it the other way to get it to pronounce. I was wondering that one.
Yeah, I've always been curious. Can't they implement that kind of technology in games yet?
I remember playing Final Fantasy X with a buddy, and of course that was the first one that had voice acting, and we're like, dude, what if you could put your name in there and they actually pronounce it? So he goes, maybe if you use the little like letters with the accents, it'll tell it like what to do, but it doesn't, because they never say Tidus's name. In fact, his name that he created just had an accent to it for the whole game. He did never pronounce it.
See, that would make all those years I've spent naming my rival in Pokemon games something like douchebag all the more satisfying. Professor Oak introduced him, this is my nephew, douchebag. And I'm just, voice acted, it would be so sweet.
Oh, yeah. Now, whoever you select to play as, of course, the bombs go off. You guys rush to the vault, and your character plays as a sole survivor from that vault, waking up 200 years later.
Yeah.
Now, they didn't.
What the hell does that mean?
Right, yeah, they didn't go into exactly what that means.
Were they mortality experiments, or were they sacrificing people, or sending people out into the wasteland never to be heard from again? But 200 years?
Yeah, I'm thinking that guy got frozen or something.
Yeah, cryogenics might be an option.
Now, I thought the graphics looked pretty darn good. I know there's some people on the net who are kind of scrutinizing it a little bit, but for a Bethesda game, I'm really enjoying the look.
Damn good for a Bethesda game.
Oh, yeah.
Never been top of the line for graphics. I would never have expected it. But is it the best looking Bethesda game I've ever seen? Yeah.
Oh, of course. I thought that I feel like they got the environments down pat. It is very colorful, unlike Fallout 3, which is very gray and green.
Same goes for New Vegas. It really was. Well, I mean, Fallout 3 was very gray and green. Fallout New Vegas was very brown and orange.
Right, yeah. This one is like...
But this feels more fleshed out. Like the colors that are around, it's more bright and colorful while still maintaining that dismal dystopia.
Yes, I totally agree. I thought that looked fantastic. Now, the dialogue, you have like this dynamic where you can switch from, like, you can do first-person dialogue, third-person dialogue. You can even walk away and shoot the guy in the middle of dialogue.
I love that. I wonder if there's just an option, like at any time, like a renegade option in Mass Effect, where like pull the right trigger to shoot person in the face mid-sentence.
I thought that was really neat. I liked how you can, like, with your partner, which I assume, like, of course, all we saw in this is the dog. You can sort of give the dog commands. He can fetch you items. You can send him into rooms. I think with that little dynamic shown, it looks like you can do that with whoever your little tag-along partner is.
Yeah, it does kind of look like it. And actually, if I were to guess, I'd say we actually saw two companions.
Yeah.
Because your robot butler sure seems like he's a companion to me. I'm not certain of that, though.
I wonder if when you get a place, if he'll kind of go to your place, you can just still kind of have him around.
Pretty cool. And speaking of places, those settlements.
Yeah. Oh,
I am really excited to see what I can put together.
That was really neat. They really knocked it out of the park with this, because now all those meaningless crap items you find out in the field have a use. You can break them down.
Crafting is going to be so much better.
Oh, I know. You can use that for, to build settlements. You can use it to upgrade your weapons. You can put mods.
Which, again, completely, I mean, the mods for the weapons, holy shit, am I happy about that. I mean, New Vegas dabbled a little bit in doing it, but damn, is it going to be nice to have that kind of customization. But then to also, not just crafting weapons, no, whole buildings and settlements which you can set up defenses on and run Brahmin settlement or Brahmin caravans between. Damn.
Oh, I know.
That's a nice chunk of game. It's apparently completely optional.
Exactly, yeah. He said you don't even have to go into this. You can even set up electricity and get, like, as you said, to power your turrets and lights. You can do all sorts of new things. And there's multiple areas you can actually do this at, as you said, so you can get caravans to go in between your settlements.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
What'd you think of the new Pip-Boy?
I like it. I mean, obviously we didn't see anything new about it yet, other than the fact that it is obviously a different model. And it looks like a newer, shinier model, too.
I do like kind of the 3D models. It kind of shows you for the guns, so you get more of an idea of what you're selecting.
I feel like this thing's going to have a little more functionality than previously seen.
Yeah, because you can listen to audio tapes and even play game tapes.
Yeah.
Which,
Oh, yeah, they did bring that up. You can even find little mini games.
Yeah.
They're knockoffs of, like, Donkey Kong and stuff. I remember them talking about that now.
Yeah, they showed Donkey Kong and, like, Missile Command, of course, with different names.
Yeah.
And, of course, they announced the Collector's Edition, the Pip-Boy Edition of Fallout 4 that you can go out and pre-order, not now.
Not anymore. It sold out within 24 hours. I don't even know what the hour mark was where it was gone.
Yeah, no, by the time we were reporting this, they are long gone. But that was kind of cool. It uses your cell phone. You can kind of put your phone into the Pip-Boy. They're going to have an app. I'm so glad that I didn't try to go get this, because I wouldn't have succeeded.
Yeah.
Now, there's something else that they did talk about for the phone, and that's the Fallout Shelter like mobile game that's out for for iPhones. What'd you think of that?
It's not really the kind of game I play. I'm like not really into simulation games, but if I were to get into one, a game with that is Fallout based with the humor of Fallout, steeped in all the Fallout lore and such, that is somewhat appealing to me. What I'm happy about is it actually passed Candy Crush for the highest grossing app on the market.
Really?
Yeah, dethroned Candy Crush.
That quickly? Wow.
That quickly. Yeah, within just a couple of days, they were like, well, wow. Completely wiped out the one that had the top spot for months and months, maybe even a couple of years.
That is pretty crazy. I kind of see this game as a good time waster. It's
absolutely.
Yeah, it's not a game that's going to be like super involving, but it's kind of cool. As you said with some of the humor, somebody posted a picture today that I saw, and it was a pickup line from one of the characters talking to one of the female characters, and it said, "You're like cholesterol, always messing with my heart."
That is such a stupid line that someone from the 50s would use.
I like how this is a completely free game, no paywall. You don't have to wait for anything. It's not a pay to win, or not pay so you don't wait. There are microtransactions to get more stuff, but that's completely optional.
Which the fact that it from Candy Crush means it's made a lot.
Right.
Off those.
Again, they announced that it was out pretty much at the press conference. They said it was out.
Yeah, it's pretty nice when they can walk up there on stage and be like, we're showing you this, and oh, guess what? Have it now.
Right, yeah, that's a really cool thing. They started doing that not that long ago. Then finally, I want to talk about the improvement of the combat system, because it really seemed like they put their time into this.
Oh, yeah.
The shooting mechanics seemed a lot more tight.
They do seem a lot more tight, because that's been one of the flaws of the Fallout series, and there's not many of those in my opinion. But it just has always felt a little loose. But this looked polished and refined, and like accuracy really worked in your favor, rather than it seemed like maybe the shooter mechanics kind of went 50-50 with the RPG instead of leaning more heavily on the RPG side.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of found a balance where it really does feel responsive and satisfying while still maintaining that it's, yes, an RPG.
Did you notice that when they used the VATS, it didn't actually stop time, it just slowed it down?
Yeah, it's obviously very, very slowed down, but I'm a huge fan of that, because there have been a number of times in Fallout 3 in New Vegas where I'll go into the VATS system and I'll be like, shit, I went in half a second too soon, my shot is not open. And then I'll have to unfreeze it and go right back into it. But it's moving so slow, you can still line up the shots you need to, even though it's in motion. So it kind of saves me what little minute hassle that I've had with that. And it still doesn't cause you any problems as far as I can tell.
Oh yeah, I really liked the way that looked. Now, they dropped a big bombshell about this. And as I was sitting there taking notes, this is the first thing that actually made me, like, out loud. Like, exclaim in, like, excitement and also in horror. It's coming out this year.
I was so happy to hear it. I wasn't expecting it after the announcement we got last week. I was thinking, or well, the week before last now maybe, but I was thinking it'll be maybe spring 2016 at best.
Right. November 10th.
Yeah, 6-month waiting mark. Not too bad.
Now, I got a lot of stuff going on in the fall, and that kind of like threw me for a loop. I was happy to hear it was coming out so soon, but I was also cursing them because
All it takes.
oh, dude, this fall for gaming is just so crazy. And of course, by the time we get to the end of this whole episode, people are just going to see how many games are coming out in the fall. But that breaks it down for Bethesda, and I think with what little they showed just enough of what they needed to show. They brought out the new Doom. They teased you with Dishonored. They threw in a couple little things, and then they just hammered it home with Fallout. They knew that's what everybody was there to see anyway.
Yeah, and quick toss-out mention too. One of my favorite guns from the Fallout series making a reappearance. The Rocket Launcher was its original name. I don't remember what it was actually called, but seeing that teddy bear take Bandit's head off was like sweet, sweet music to my ears.
Oh yeah, that was cool. I gotta give Bethesda, props on a pretty darn good press conference. They had a good attitude throughout the entire show. The crowd was definitely lit up. They really filled that little theater.
They did a damn good first E3 conference for them never having done it before. They came out with a great showing, lots of games to show off, had plenty of energy, and they did well. They really did.
They did great. Moving on to the next day, I got up extra early for this. For people who listening may not know, I actually work seconds, and I pretty much live my life like I'm on first. I get up within a few hours before I have to go to work, but I got up extra early just to watch Microsoft's press conference.
Yeah.
They kicked it off with Halo 5, Guardians.
And it's a damn pretty Halo, that's for fucking sure.
Yeah, you can play as Master Chief or new character, Spartan Locke. Squad play. This is new.
That is new. I mean, ODST dabbled in it, but it didn't really go into it very deeply. But real squads following you around. That's exciting.
Oh, yeah. And did you catch whether or not you switch back and forth from Master Chief or Spartan Locke, or do you select a version of the campaign to play at the beginning?
I believe it's going to be kind of like Halo 2 was with the Arbiter. Or wait, was it Halo 3? I think it was Halo 3, sorry. But no, the Arbiter, where there are intermittent periods throughout the game where you'll play as one or the other. I mean, it's the whole game you're one or the other, but it switches off for chapters.
It seems like they're really working on establishing this Spartan Locke character to where a certain point in time they could probably spin him off.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a pretty big Halo fan. So I was like super excited for these commercials that they've been airing, where it's like one of the commercials is Spartan Locke walking up to Master Chief and pointing a gun at him, and he's got this awesome monologue. And then the next commercial I saw was the other way around, where it was Master Chief walking up to an injured Spartan Locke, and it's just like, whoa, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
And they're really playing up his character as an antithesis to Master Chief.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I really want to know how that plays out.
Oh, yeah, I do, too. I may not get a chance to, especially seeing as how Halo 5 also comes out. It comes out late October.
I'm not going to get to see it right away. I know that.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of games coming out. They did talk about the new multiplayer Warzone, which mixes AI with other players, kind of like Titanfall did. What do you think about that?
I'm definitely intrigued. I mean, they're obviously they're not going to lose the PvP that they've always had. There's no way. But to also include a mode where the AI gets involved, that is actually kind of exciting to me because, I mean, Battlefront's going to do it and has done it before. It's actually kind of cool to me to have more enemies to shoot at than just the players.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
They definitely showed a little bit of it. They didn't go too deep.
Yeah, same for the campaign. They really didn't go very deep into the details.
Yeah, at least we actually got to see some gameplay, see how that goes.
It looked really pretty. And one of the campaign details I'm kind of happy about, because I played Halo ODST and one of the characters, one of the main characters of the story, was actually one of the squad mates in Halo 5, who was voiced by Nathan Fillion.
Oh, yeah.
Firefly and all that, and I love him. So having him back on the team, quote unquote, is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool to have Nathan Fillion in there. I forgot he was in the other one. I totally forgot about that. Moving on, though, Halo showed a new game, a brand new IP called Recore, and this is from a pretty cool team-up of Keiji Inafune, of course, the Mega Man creator, and Armature Studio, which, of course, did Metroid Prime. Apparently Inafune cannot get away from robots.
Clearly not.
It's his forte, man. This neat little trailer showed like this woman and robot, fighting through like a wasteland and whatnot.
Yeah. It had this neat, and I mean, Recore is obviously an appropriate title given the trailer itself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really intrigued by these robot enemies with that core thing going on. I thought it was really cool when she like whipped out core from one and pocketed it real quick before continuing to fight.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. I was really interested with that because it makes it seem like you can move that around. Like the sort of the idea they were going for, it seems that you can move that around and put it in different things, different...
Yeah, it makes a friendly team. Like, in the final picture was her with like 5 robot buddies.
Right, yeah. That is Xbox One exclusive coming in 2016. I'm excited for that because when you think about Xbox and the brand of Xbox, you don't think about too many Japanese-inspired exclusives.
Yeah. Well, heck, lately, up until fairly recently, Xbox has lost a lot of their exclusive, I wouldn't say their rights, but they don't seem to have as powerful a punch when it comes to their exclusives. But that's a new IP I'm pretty interested in. So that's another step up from the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah. They've been really working a lot to try and bring out some exclusives, which is very interesting because I feel like Microsoft, of course, a couple years ago really flubbed when they were bringing out the Xbox One. They tried to introduce ideas that gamers didn't want. They weren't ready for that kind of stuff yet. They didn't want the online stuff. So now it seems like they've been playing catch up. But to their credit, it seems like they've been doing it better and sooner than what PlayStation did with the PS3 with their sort of shaky launch.
They made a huge recovery on the fumble of the Xbox One launch by announcing that backwards compatibility.
There it is. That's where I was getting to. The backwards compatibility coming this fall to everybody. Over 100 games at the launch of the update,
including some of my favorite games already.
Mm-hmm. The one they showed was the original Mass Effect running, and also what's neat about this backwards compatibility is if you already own the game, all you got to do is put it in the system, it downloads it from the store, and you're good. It doesn't charge you again. You can also stream on Twitch with it, just like you can an Xbox One game. You can take screenshots, and if it has online play and the servers are still up, you can actually play with people on the 360 other people playing on the 360, you can play with them.
It's awesome. I could not ask for more from them for backwards compatibility.
Oh, I know.
It's perfect.
Oh, I know. See, the thing for me is that, I went ahead and I bought a system back in November. I haven't used it that much. I got a pretty good deal on the 1 terabyte Call of Duty edition, and I wanted to be informed. I wanted to know. I had kind of had a negative feeling about the Xbox since the launch, and I wanted to have an informed opinion. And not only with this, it's like they're also including Windows 10, which is I saw a little glimpse of pictures. They're going to update the interface of the Xbox One, which I absolutely hate. And
it's not great now. That whole boxy modular thing doesn't really work.
From what I saw, and I didn't get to see it in action, it sort of looks like it merges the 360 style with the Xbox One style, which is significant because I feel like they're hoping that anybody who is holding off on getting an Xbox One are going to jump forward with this backwards compatibility, meaning that if you have a big, vast 360 collection, like, I don't know, one of my co-hosts, Nate, he has a massive collection. Now, if he decides to go out and get an Xbox One, he's got a platform to play those games on if they're able to get the games that he has included.
Which it doesn't sound like that's going to be a very big hurdle for them to cross.
It doesn't sound like it. I hope they can really get some support on this from the other developers, try and get this going, because it seems like with them changing the interface, with them doing the backwards compatibility, they're really trying to move some systems, close the gap between them and PlayStation. And
which this is a great step, because honestly, even though I was already sold on the Xbox One, I mean, fairly recently I came to that realization. I am sold on it. I just don't have the money to literally be sold on it.
Right.
But I had already bought into the system, but now with the announcement of backwards compatibility, that's basically greenlighting me to take advantage of the next trade in your 360 for an Xbox One at GameStop's, promo.
Oh yeah. I thought that was fantastic. To note, I will say, I'm not going to jump forward to their presentation, but Sony did comment that they were asked, and currently there are no plans for them to implement backwards compatibility on the PS4.
Yeah, I still want to focus on that PS Now system, which is good, though pricey.
We'll see, it's pricey, and as with internet, you're going to have lag no matter how good a connection you have. But I think they're too involved with that. I think they have put too much money into that to just say, okay, guys, backwards compatibility. And also, I think with the PS3 cell processor, it's a little bit more difficult to get it emulated and working on the PS4 than it would be for the Xbox 360 games to work on an Xbox One. But maybe we'll get it down the line. But so far, no. This is a big plus for Microsoft. The EA guys came out. I think it was EA. Was it EA that did this one? I wrote notes down, and my handwriting is a little bad. Because I want to say they came out and talked about their little EA Access type thing.
I feel like, yes, that was during the Microsoft conference.
I want to say they talked about, because they're bringing Dragon Age to EA Access
that was the
this
Microsoft
summer.
conference, because EA Access is only on Xbox One.
Yeah, and so they talked about that. They talked about, for $5 a month, if you don't own these games,
That's pretty impressive for only $5.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just the problem is for me, it's like if it's a game I really want to play, then I've already played it. So but with people with a budget, you can kind of wait and play them maybe about a year, 6 months later.
Honestly, after the fact that Dragon Age Inquisition is 90% of the people I've talked to's game of the year for last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good addition.
Oh, it is. It's definitely mine as well.
And that is a time sink too.
Oh yes. I haven't played any of the DLC for that because I haven't
either yet
gone back to it, but I would like to at some point. They showed Plants vs. Zombies 2.
Yeah, well, Garden Warfare 2.
Well, okay, yeah, Garden Warfare. That's what I meant. I wrote down Plants vs. Zombies 2, but it is Garden Warfare 2. More classes. Comes out 2016. More of the same that you got from that.
As far as I can tell, I love the quirky humor of Plants vs. Zombies, and I actually love the original game. And Plants vs. Zombies 2 is still good and all. It just feels a little less balanced, in my opinion. But the Garden Warfare games turn all that into this just arena multiplayer. Mm-hmm. And while I appreciate the idea of doing that, it's, again, it just doesn't hold the appeal for me.
It sort of seems like that that whole thing, that sort of like, it seems like it appeals to more like it can bring in the younger audience to that sort of mindset of that gameplay, and it also kind of seems like it could have inspired Nintendo with Splatoon to kind of capitalize on that audience for them. Forza 6.
Pretty.
Any thoughts? Pretty? Yeah. Oh yeah, it did look pretty good.
Very, very pretty.
I got a buddy who's really big into Forza, and he's really excited for this. They brought was it Henry Ford III?
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
I mean, I know jack crap about cars, even though I work on cars. It's kind of ironic. But they brought him out for like 5 seconds, which intrigued me. And I've actually heard this said somewhere before, but it intrigued me that they brought him all the way out from, Detroit just to say, hey, we got the cover car, and they bring the cover car down. They showcased some gameplay, which has dynamic weather. It had, some night play. 450 cars, 26 locations. It seems like they're really sort of going to be packing this. My buddy who's really into Forza is really excited about it. I'm not that big into racing titles myself.
Me neither. Though they did make an announcement. If I can remember what conference it is about a racing game I might care about, and I'm going to stress might when we get to it.
Okay, well then I'm looking forward to seeing that when we get to it. This game's coming out September 15th this year.
Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah, pretty quick around the corner. They also showed, moving on from Forza, they showed a early sort of teaser for Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
No gameplay, just a little bit of a teaser. Coming out early next year, 2016.
Yeah. That makes a lot of people happy.
Oh yeah, I mean Bloodborne came out this year, which is set in that same sort of universe, and of course it's only on PS4. So I mean this is the next big game. If you have an Xbox and you don't have a PS4, it's the next big game for you to
Definitely
jump
a big
in on.
deal. I mean, I got into Bloodborne more than I care to admit, to be honest, but it still wore off because those games have limited appeal to me. The difficulty is kind of a turnoff. It just so happens that Bloodborne, the difficulty did not turn me off of it. It was the fact that there's no real plot. I mean, the lore is beautiful and awesome, but the plot is just not there enough for me to care through a whole game of just brutal difficulty.
I have never checked them out. I've heard a lot about them. I've thought about it, but same as you, I sort of got turned off by how difficult I heard they were. Not that I'm not up for a challenge, but I'm also not for beating my head up against a wall either.
Exactly. Now, if you do try one, try Bloodborne. Start there. It just feels more intuitive than the combat of the other two.
See, I've heard the same thing. I've heard to start at Bloodborne. I heard it's a good jump-on point if you've never experienced any of these kind of games.
Plus, the horror theme really fits better for the brutal difficulty than the fantasy theme, in my opinion.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. I definitely have to check that out. Maybe around Black Friday. Maybe we'll see what the price is.
Man, Black Friday this year is going to be nuts.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
With all these games just hitting right around that time, it's going to get insane.
Oh, I know. Which means I probably won't get to check out anything that I really want to. I'll probably be wrapped up in Fallout.
Yeah, that's what I'll be stuck in.
Moving on, they did introduce the Division Beta Xbox One exclusive in December.
Yeah.
Also from Ubisoft, Rainbow Six Siege comes with Vegas and Vegas 2. Again, we were talking about the backwards compatibility. When you buy Rainbow Six Siege, you're going to get free downloads of Vegas and Vegas 2 on the Xbox One, the 360 versions. And also, I skipped right over it. I cannot believe I just skipped right over it. Fallout 4.
Yep.
Also comes with Fallout 3.
I was actually going to bring that up if you didn't. But yeah, that's a nice announcement. For people that maybe didn't quite get into it before, and or even just if they want to replay it, it's arguably the best one out of that they've released. So that's pretty cool to make it that accessible for people.
Since I totally skipped over Fallout 4, and I'm glad that I remembered, they did it. They came out and they announced cross-mod support between PC and the Xbox One.
Yes, that is so cool.
Now, we don't know if this is going to come to another system, but I assume since they came out specifically to the Xbox little press conference, that we are not going to be seeing this on the other system, probably because of Windows 10.
Probably.
Now, again, nothing confirmed there, but that's just sort of my hypothesis, is that somehow, since the PC, Windows, console, Windows, somehow that's going to correlate, and you're going to be able to bring your mods over to the Xbone. In fact, I saw an interview where it says they want you to break your games.
Yeah. I think that's really awesome. I've been hoping for mod support in any way on consoles for a really long time. So that's a great game for them to do that with, because game breaking a Bethesda game is actually pretty fun. I remember in Skyrim fighting Randy Savage freaking dragons, and it was just ridiculous, but I loved it.
Oh yeah, I definitely remember seeing that. It's kind of cool that you can do this. I'm really looking forward to trying it out with the cross-mod support. I'm really Really looking forward to that. Apparently how it's going to work is when you go to create it, you're actually going to create an alternate version of your save, so your core save never gets corrupted.
Fantastic news.
Oh yeah, so they're definitely being smart about that. What else in the Microsoft thing we got?
Was that really awesome? Though possibly should have been conserved for CES. But that HoloLens demo of Minecraft.
That was interesting. I mean, I do wonder how much of this is actually going to be usable with other games and whatnot, but that little tech demo they did.
That tech demo of Minecraft was really cool, and it's neat and all, and I'm glad it works so efficiently for Minecraft. I like Minecraft, but I know a lot of people that don't. But the possibilities for that kind of a tech is just endless in the world of gaming. Could you imagine like RTS with that, where you like are ordering your army from that overhead view and like picking out spots and truly strategically organizing with your hands and voice?
Oh yeah, it was pretty neat. I heard there was like a Halo 5 demo with it as well at E3.
I think that was behind closed doors, though. I don't think we got to see any of it.
No, it was behind closed doors. And basically what I heard, it was mostly interface. It wasn't the actual gameplay. I heard it was like where you can see like map details on like the table with your little markers and everything.
Yeah, which is cool.
And it's kind of cool. I do wonder how much this thing is going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty penny. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that when you introduce any sort of new tech, you're definitely throwing the risk of it pretty much becoming like the PS Move.
Yeah. It just kind of disappears and no one thinks about it because it was a little too pricey.
Yeah, pretty much. It becomes completely optional and none of the developers really want to support it because it's not in enough homes.
Yep.
Now, they did show some independent games. One of the games that really caught my eye was Cuphead.
That game looks so fucking cool. It looked like one of these old games I used to play on my Sega Genesis called Gunstar Heroes.
Oh yeah.
Except it is entirely in this like 1800s cartoon style.
It looked like early Disney.
It did. Like Steamboat Willie, but with a little color thrown in.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it looked really neat. I'm definitely looking forward to that. They show some other ones as well, but that's the one that caught my eye.
That caught my eye more than any of them, but they all actually kind of looked cool. So I'm glad they're starting to show off their indie support a little more thoroughly now.
Yeah, they got one from the guys that made Gone Home, called Tacoma. Mm-hmm. Now, I really enjoyed Gone Home. I got that on a Steam sale a couple of years ago.
I did too, but without a computer, it makes it really hard to play your Steam games.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
I don't get me wrong, I still shop them. I probably shouldn't, but I've got like 700 Steam games and no computer. I feel like there's a problem here.
Wow, 700.
I mean, at the time I had plenty, but Humble Bundles. God's gift to gamers.
Humble Bundles are great. I definitely have enjoyed purchasing a Humble Bundle myself. But the next thing I want to talk to you about is, of course, one of the big Xbox One exclusives, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah. Okay, let's straighten that out for my hopes and dreams. Timed exclusive.
Right. They did say timed exclusive. They have said that.
I have to link that up with my hopes and dreams because as great as the first one was, I need to get my hands on this second one, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get X-Bone before that time.
What they said timed exclusive, but Microsoft is footing some of the bill. Now, if this
they are.
Historically, how that's worked for them is it's at least a year exclusive.
Yeah.
So, but it also may be 6 months. It could be a year. We don't know. Mm-hmm. But that game, Rise of the Tomb Raider, of course, holy cow, the little gameplay demo they showed looked awesome.
Yes, it did. I mean, the ice, the avalanche, it was good.
Oh yeah, dude, it looked awesome. And of course, the release date is the exact same release date as Fallout 4, November 10th.
Right, that's going to be a busy day if I can afford both games and have the systems required.
Oh, I tell you what, man, I love the new Tomb Raider. I love the reboot. This one looks great. I really worry for it because it seems like that Fallout 4 has so much momentum that this one is, especially with all the other games coming out, is going to just get shoved underneath and just get ran over.
I really hope not, especially considering how critically and commercially successful the previous Tomb Raider has been.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see why. It would suck.
Oh yeah, it would suck. You have a lot coming out all around the kind of like the same time.
And I can almost see it just getting swept under as, well, I want that game, but all these other games have a little bit of precedence.
Exactly, and unfortunately, that doesn't say to the quality of the game. It doesn't speak to that at all. I mean, it's
just that the quality or hype for everything else is just so high too.
Yeah, they also showcased a really cool collection, Rare Replay, with 30 games.
Hell yes! I'll finally beat Jet Force Gemini.
Hell yeah, dude! Jet Force Gemini, Battletoads, Conkers, the Banjo-Kazooie games are all on here.
I was blown away that they actually have like 5, I think I counted, 360 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like on one disc.
On
That's
one disc.
Nice. That's really awesome.
I think it had Viva Pinata, Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts,
Cameo,
Yep.
Dark Zero, and Viva Pinata, the second one. Can't think what it was called. But that's at least 5 360 games.
Oh yeah, man. They, of course, the only 2 that we're missing, it seems, GoldenEye, Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
But hey, we got so much other crap on there.
I know.
RC Pro-Am was on there.
Yeah. And Blast Core.
Yeah, Blast Core. Oh yeah, Blast Core. This game is gonna be $30.
It's so fucking worth it.
Dude, it is. And if you're into like achievement hunting, I think it said a 10,000 achievement score.
Something like that. Every single game is gonna have its own set of achievements.
That's pretty neat. I mean,
And you just don't get a lot better. 30 games for $30.
especially some of those titles in there are, in my opinion, worth more than $1. You know.
Hell yeah. I would gladly pay more than $1 for, all 3 Banjo-Kazooies and Jet Force Gemini and Blast Core, and hell, the 360 games are worth at least $2 a piece, even if they're not the best ones.
Right. Oh yeah. They also showed a new game from them called Sea of Thieves. It's like a big multiplayer pirate game.
Yeah, which is rare, which automatically intrigues me. But pirate MMO for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, holiday 2016. That's a bit of ways away, but they got a little bit of a glimpse at it. They did show off a quick. I'm not going to talk too much about this one. I have almost no interest in it, but Fable Legends.
I wish I was interested, because I love Fable.
Yeah, it seems like almost kind of like a MMO style of it. They said it's free to play.
I like the idea of 4v1, where it's 4 people playing the heroes, 1 person playing the big bad guy. I mean, they did it with Evolve, but in this case, it's more like the bad guy's the dungeon master and the final boss at the same time. So
Yeah.
I hope it comes out being that cool, but at the same time, it's multiplayer focused, and that's where they start to lose me.
Same here.
I like
same here.
Fable for its centric characters and the fun stories you can have, and the open world you can own and level up in. That's what I love about Fable. And this game doesn't really have any of that, as far as I can tell.
Nope. It kind of seems like they're just doing something new and using the name to sort of make it and put it in that same universe. Yeah. It's coming out this year. We didn't get a lockdown date on that, but we do get a lockdown date on the next remaster. The first Gears of War is getting a remastering.
Yeah, which I'm excited, and I'm sure that they're going to follow it up with the other 2. I like the Gears of War franchise quite a bit. I find it almost odd, though, that they didn't announce it to be all 3 of them. It was a little odd for it to be a remaster of just the one game, considering the campaign's not that long and the multiplayer's not that big.
Yeah, what I'm hoping, though, is that without the inclusion of the other 2, they can really focus on this one, on the first one, and just do it as the best as they possibly can.
Yeah, and I'm very hopeful for it, especially since I really liked the first game.
Oh yeah, I do. I actually really like the first game. That's actually my favorite out of all of them, and it's coming out August 25th.
Yeah, which is pretty soon too.
We did, of course, leading off of that, they did show gameplay footage. I say that with quotations that you can't see, simply because it could be gameplay, but it could also be like sort of like that tricked gameplay where it's like not exactly what the game may look like, but sort of close, of Gears 4.
I can see that, but I actually am more than willing to say that it is gameplay itself, or at least what they have as of now.
Right.
Because it didn't look too pretty for it to be like customly made like that,
Yeah.
and the models behaved like someone was actually playing it. I feel like they did well, especially because that shootout at the end felt like something straight out of the other three games. It seems like someone was on a controller for that.
Yeah, my only complaint about it is that it was really dark.
It was dark. Except for that fucking lambent-looking tornado. That was insane looking.
Yeah, I hope they could turn the brightness up just a tad, get a little bit more of that in there. That's coming out holiday 2016. Looks pretty neat.
Another distant release date for us to dream about till then.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Microsoft's press conference. To be honest with you, they have a lot of cool exclusive stuff. They really focused on exclusive things that we only got a few items that were like really multi-plat, like Fallout and
True.
And there was another one in there somewhere.
Well, any of the Ubisoft ones, yeah.
Yeah, any of the Ubisoft ones. But we really got a lot of good looks at some stuff that's really focused on the Xbox One. Speaking of, they're coming out with a new controller.
Yeah, lots of appeal for those elite gamers.
Exactly, you can finally do away with your scuffed controller. This is kind of customizable with your sticks. It's going to have paddles on it and all that stuff. So that looked kind of cool. It's going to be pretty pricey. I think it's going to be. I heard something at, forgive me if I'm wrong, 100 and something, 150 maybe.
I think what I heard was about 120.
120.
I could be wrong. I'm probably misquoting or something, but I mean, honestly, what do people normally pay for pro controllers?
No, they pay out the butt for those scuff controllers.
Exactly. So either the same price or maybe even slightly less than that, they're getting an officially licensed with interchangeable parts controller.
I totally agree with you. It's kind of cool to see that from like the first party. I thought that was kind of neat. And really, anything else I have for Xbox is just not much.
No.
Something about them doing almost kind of like a early access style of preview for like they're bringing DayZ over from the PC.
Yeah, I remember that. That's kind of cool too.
It's kind of cool. We'll see how that goes. We already touched on the HoloLens. So now that we're done with Microsoft, barreling our way through here, I'm going to skip over Sony because they went next. Okay, you had the third-party stuff go next. But I'm going to go right to Nintendo because I kind of want to talk about them next. Nintendo, a couple years ago, they switched to started doing this digital Nintendo Direct because they do that like once quarterly, I think, at least quarterly. Give you an update about what's coming out. I like that. But it kind of sucks that we don't have that kind of the big press conference feel with the Nintendo because I'm a big Nintendo fanboy, and I always have been. I want them to do well. They started off this year with Muppets.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the claymation thing they did last year, so the Muppets thing was just a kind of a fun thing for them to do that I enjoyed.
Right into it. Let's just start off. Star Fox Zero.
That's one of the games that I'm actually really excited for. I mean, I hear a lot of people complaining about how it doesn't look any different from the old games. I'll argue slightly, but honestly, I'm okay with just this awesome HD version of a new Star Fox game.
We'll see. What I really like about it is that, they're saying it doesn't look any different, but it does look a little different. It's like the same, but better.
Yeah, and the ability to transform on the fly is actually pretty new.
Oh, I know. And the fact that they're finally putting in that one little walker design from Star Fox 2 that never came out.
Yeah, that never got to America.
Yeah, I know. So that's really cool that they put that in. They have the tank, they have like the hover, they have that one little copter mode. And what's really neat is that they have the two screens mode where that your screen on the gamepad is like your cockpit view, and then your TV screen is like the third person, you're behind the ship view.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea because that gives people precise aiming. That's good use of two-screen functionality. Something the Wii U should take advantage of more often.
I agree. I heard that a rumor that Miyamoto said they're toying with the idea of multiplayer where one player flies the ship and the other player uses the gamepad to shoot.
I could see it.
It's interesting. That's not a lock-in for this game. That's something that Miyamoto said they're just toying around with. They might put it in.
Yeah.
No release date for that, as far as I know. But I heard it is coming out this fall. It is sometime around the mess of all the other games. So hopefully,
when it comes out.
Yeah, hopefully we get a sort of a lockdown on that. Star Fox looks great. It looks like they're going to be. I heard a rumor that Star Wolf could come back and play a role.
That's the biggest rumor surrounding it right now. I mean, we saw Pigma, so that's one of his crew. So hopefully we'll see Star Wolf return.
And they went on next to talk about Super Mario Maker.
Yeah, which is a pretty interesting idea, actually.
I like how they sort of take. I mean, they take the idea of what other people have done, like for example with Little Big Planet, with the kind of create your own levels kind of thing. They're doing that with Mario. In fact, they're just kind of almost doing an official version of what they've done with hacks in the past, where you see like these really impossible Mario levels that are really difficult. But this is an official version where you can download other people's levels. You can create your own. You can switch between original Mario Bros. 3, Mario World, the new Super Mario Bros. Style.
Yeah, that was the coolest part to me right there, was that, because I'd already heard about the game, and I thought it was a neat idea, but when they announced that you could actually switch between those four styles, like on the fly, practically, that was a pretty cool announcement. I mean, I wasn't expecting to be able to go through all that stuff, and to be able to even break the game in some cases and add new power-ups.
Oh yeah, that was pretty neat as well. I've seen where you can actually sort of combine stuff from other like versions of Mario, like some of the later versions, and put them in like Mario 3 or Mario 1, where stuff looks like it's in that graphic style, but it doesn't really belong there because it actually first appeared later.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty freaking cool.
This has a release date of September 11th. 2015. And of course you said new power-ups. This has amiibo support. Yeah,
that's another one of the things. They kept showing those little interludes of different characters infiltrating Mario Maker throughout the whole of the Nintendo Direct. And some of those were legitimate. No, really, they can pop into the game like that.
Like the Link one where all of a sudden Mario looks like Link. They had one with the Wii Fit trainer.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
But one of the coolest things that I saw about this is they're coming out with an 8-bit Mario amiibo.
Yeah, and it looked really cool.
So I know for a fact I'm going to try and hunt that down, and I know for a fact I'm probably going to fail.
As popular as it's going to be, yeah, you're right.
I'm probably going to have to, throw some bucks up to Nate. Nate seems to be very good at tracking down these darn amiibos.
He is good at that stuff.
I'm going to have to enlist him and Sarah to help me out with that. Next on, they went over to a new game coming to the Wii U called another Skylanders game, Superchargers, where they're bringing in Donkey Kong and Bowser to be playable characters. And what's neat is that they're, of course, with Skylanders, just like Amiibos, they're like the little statues where when you put them on the little portal, they become playable figures or playable characters from the figures. But apparently there's a little switch on the Donkey Kong and Bowser's where they can be a Skylander, and then you hit a switch, and they can be an Amiibo.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool feature. And I did think it looked really awesome in Skylanders. Like, Bowser was just stomping all over those bad guys. It was pretty cool looking.
The more I see a Skylanders, the more I want to play it.
It's pretty cool. I mean, and honestly, if you play Disney Infinity, or I know there's another one out there that's like it, you've played Skylanders, it's pretty cool. It really is kind of a for kids thing, but it really does blend in that collectible feel alongside actual gameplay.
Well, I really feel like it's something that, if you have kids, you can really bond and play games with them. And I feel like this is something that older gamers and younger gamers alike can also enjoy.
Exactly.
They went ahead and showed a new Zelda for the 3DS. Kind of really remind me of Four Swords. It's called Zelda Triforce Heroes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that noise sums up my response, actually. I'm not too thrilled, honestly. It seems fine. It actually does look kind of cool. But I wasn't a big fan of Four Swords. Zeldas, to me, are a very solo experience for me.
yeah.
And the Four Swords did not deliver on a story or a gameplay level like a single player experience does. Not that they don't have a shot at recapturing it for this one. It's just I'm immediately wary because even though yes I beat Four Swords and yes it was a lot of fun, I did not have near as much fun as I would by myself.
I agree with you on that. I totally agree. I did see that it's a 3-player co-op, and it's coming out fall of this year. No exact date. And essentially, you can play it single player, but it makes 2 dolls come in, and you sort of kind of using them anyway. So they then went on to talk about Hyrule Warriors and making a version for 3DS.
Which I'm happy for. That's pretty awesome. I've played Hyrule Warriors, and yes, it is just a Zelda-themed skin over a Dynasty Warriors game. But damn, does that skin go deep. Zelda is just... It's so deeply Zelda. And if you're a fan of Zelda, it's like the ultimate fan service for you. So I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I've heard Hyrule Warriors is really cool to check out. Adding to this, I did write down, I totally forgot about this till just now. They're bringing in new Wind Waker characters and levels that weren't in the original version and adding them to the 3DS version.
King of Red Lions, though that's not his real name. I don't remember for the life of me what it is, but the King of Red Lions and Tetra.
Now, there's something pretty controversial about this next title. Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Yeah. Well, I was the lead of that anyway because, my thoughts on the Zelda game kind of rival my thoughts on the Metroid game. I came out of the conference kind of thinking, so you showed off a new Zelda and a new Metroid, and all I could think to myself was, I'm good, a shitty multiplayer version of games that I love.
They didn't really look like Metroid to me.
No, in fact, they announced it, and they leaked it a day or two before in a way as a game about soccer exclusively. Yeah, they call it Blast Ball, where it's 3v3 soccer matches basically, where you shoot the ball, and everyone was like, maybe it kind of looks like Metroid. And then they announced it. I like the idea that it's going to follow Federation versus the Space Pirates. I've always thought that was an underdeveloped part of the Metroid universe, but honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to satisfy in any way.
No, there's actually a petition to get it canceled.
I hadn't heard that yet.
I've heard of all these petitions to bring new games, bring in the Kickstarter, do this, do that, I want to see this, I want to see that. This is one of the first times I've ever heard of a petition to please don't make this game.
Yeah, that's actually pretty ridiculous.
It seems like they made an idea, slapped the Metroid name on it, and are just trying to sell it to you.
That's what it looks like. It looks like a cheap fucking... I'm going to make this kind of game, and we're going to just kind of paste some Metroidness over a couple parts of it so that no one will know it wasn't originally a Metroid game.
Yeah, and one thing they didn't talk about with here, and then I'm going to touch on it for just a minute. They didn't talk about anything about the new Nintendo console, the codename NX, because obviously they're sort of focusing on stuff that's coming out, I want to say no later than spring of next year. They didn't cover anything past that.
Yeah, they really covered it short term, which not a bad idea per se. It just sucks that your short term halfway sucks.
Yeah, right, yeah. It's kind of what I thought too. Because it seems like there's a couple good things here, but there's other things here that, like you said, with the Zelda and Metroid, and a few other things that just make you kind of scratch your head and go,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? I don't understand. They said about about Metroid is that we may not see a new actual Metroid entry until the next console.
Yeah, which I'm actually okay with. I kind of wish they'd come out with that earlier. That would have had my hopes up for E3 this year, because Retro Studios was teasing. But yeah, overall, not Metroid. Nintendo's showing. It didn't leave me just completely void of feeling and empty and all that, but there were really a couple of things that impressed me at all, and even then they weren't like jaw droppers. They were like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Right, yeah, no, definitely the strongest part for me was the Star Fox.
Yeah, Star Fox was really cool. That was the coolest part I saw. The second coolest for me was one we haven't mentioned yet. I'm kind of excited for Mario and Luigi Paper Jam.
Oh, dude, yeah.
The Superstar Saga series and the Paper Mario series are both so infused with humor and fun, and it sounds really perfect for them to be teamed up for one game.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely going to get to that because that was one of the games on there that really captured me.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Because, again, like you, I enjoyed both of those as well. Really cool RPG series. And I think I have written down spring of next year. Again, no long-term plans. They did not talk about Zelda, the new Wii U Zelda.
Which I feel like was a mistake. I that's just me, though.
I tend to
even
agree
talking
with you.
about it. You didn't have to show us gameplay, but mention it, something. I mean, that would have been nice to just get an update.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and
No, they actually had to announce it afterwards that yes, it's still coming to Wii U.
what else do we have on this sort of a hodgepodge of a press conference from Nintendo? Fire Emblem
Fire
Fates.
Emblem, that was one of the other things that I was actually pretty excited about in a way, because, well, Fire Emblem Awakening was a damn fine game. So I'm really interested in seeing how this next one does.
Yeah, they named it Fates. We've already seen some of this before, so I didn't really have too much to say on it. That's coming out in 2016. Yeah. Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem.
That was the biggest gag moment for me from the entirety of E3, actually. Because on paper, Shin Megami Tensei meets Fire Emblem sounds really fucking awesome. Like, they're going to do a dark, mature storyline that both kind of games are known for. It's going to have really cool RPG / possibly strategic elements for the gameplay. And what I got was this trailer for, I'm pretty sure, a J-pop band. And I mean, not that the whole game's going to turn out like that trailer looked, but that was I literally gagged at one point because I'm like, this is what we're supposed to be getting?
Right. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. So, really, that's all I have. I'm just surprised that they're making it. I mean, it went so long without an update, and we finally saw something of it. I think a couple of Nintendo Directs ago, they showed that. 2016 for that. Then they showed a new trailer. Again, we've been seeing this game quite a bit, Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh, yeah, which is pretty cool considering Xenoblade has been doing really well, sales and critically.
Oh, yes. Of course, the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii, and just recently they re-released it for the 3DS.
Yeah.
For the new 3DS.
And though it took apparently a bit of a graphical downgrade, or is that graphical? That's the word, I think. Anyway,
Yeah.
It took a bit of a downgrade in that department, but other than that, it was fairly loyal, and it did pretty well.
Oh, yeah. I did see gameplay of it, and, well, I thought about picking it up. I don't have a new 3DS at all yet.
Yeah, so it's out of the option for you.
Right. I already have the Wii version, so I really don't need to buy the same game twice, especially when you consider, like you said, it's sort of a downgrade.
Yeah.
But Xenoblade Chronicles X, December 4th, 2015.
It is cool that is coming pretty soon, actually, because it feels to me, I know it's not accurate, but I feel like Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, came out like early last year.
No, I think it came out like 2012. I mean, we had that whole debacle with GameStop trying to sell it for like $90.
I know.
Animal Crossing, Home Designer, and Amiibo Festival.
Another one of those. Huh. That's neat.
Yep. Moving on. Yoshi's Woolly World. That's awesome.
I love the kitschy art style games that they've been doing lately, like Kirby's Epic Yarn, and they did the Claymation Kirby too, which, although gorgeous, may not have been the best Kirby game. However, I just like the fact that they're exploring these alternative stylings, and they fully commit to that styling.
Oh yeah, no. Every single thing that I've seen from Yoshi's Woolly World looks awesome. I know my wife, Caitlin, she really wants it, so I know we're going to be getting it at some point. And also, the cool little like stuffed plush amiibos
That
are
is
coming
pretty
out with
cool.
for it. That game's hitting out in October. I'm really looking forward to that. It has really a lot of cool gameplay elements with the yarn. Really excites me there. Yokai Watch. You ever heard of this?
Well, I watched a whole Nintendo Direct, and I'll be honest, I watched the first few minutes of it, and I'm like, what is this? Some kind of Sims meets Pokemon knockoff with more of a Digimon theme? And then I fast forwarded through the rest of it.
Well, you didn't miss much because I don't even know what it is. The last thing that was actually shown was the new Mario Tennis.
Yeah, which whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, cool. I mean, Mario Tennis games play well and nothing important, but there's something that I heard after. This wasn't actually on the press conference. They're looking at a R-Wing amiibo for Star Fox.
That would be cool.
Now, there's a rumor that they may be looking into a transformable R-Wing amiibo.
What?
Like a R-Wing that you could transform into the Walker mode.
Huh.
As an amiibo. Like that to me is like, that's awesome. Nintendo needs to team up with Hasbro and make that happen.
Don't infringe on them Transformers rights.
That's Nintendo's E3 digital event.
Yeah. Underwhelming.
Yes, it's really underwhelming, especially since this sort of came after, like, a couple really big ones in a row. Which we're going back to Sony because I didn't want to end the big conferences with Nintendo because it is underwhelming, but Sony's really delivered, in my opinion.
Shit, they deliver.
Yeah, sort of saving the best for last year because I really feel like they hit a lot of good notes.
They had a true trifecta of just, wow, that I did not see that coming. And I loved every second of it. And then, well, I mean, we'll talk in depth, obviously, about these things, but then they introduced, like, a couple of new IPs that look really good. In my opinion, Sony is the winner of E3.
I agree. I mean, granted, Bethesda was good. Microsoft was really good. I was actually wondering, after I watched Microsoft one, they had a really good press conference.
They did. That's been, like, years, probably.
Yeah, past couple years have been really kind of, subpar. I was wondering what Sony was going to do because we really didn't know much of anything, and the shit they came out with was like shit that you hear from like some fanboys like wish list.
Yeah, it's like, did you hear this might show up this year? Well, you've said that last 5 years, so it's hard for me to care.
Yeah, right. It's like no proof. Picture it didn't happen.
And this year, it basically they did 3 of those.
I know. Within the first hour of their conference, and they kicked off the entire show. They came out, did not waste any time, and they said, by the way, we're starting the show off with The Last Guardian.
Boom. Gameplay demo.
Yeah. Holy crap. It looked awesome.
Yeah, and the awesome goat, eagle, dog thing is still fucking adorable.
Oh, I know. I really like the kind of cool gameplay aspect where you have to utilize the goat, bird, dog thing.
I think it's called Trico, but don't quote me on that. But it's really cute, and the gameplay mechanics are really neat. And I'm a lover of cute animals anyway, so I was so sold on it the moment he was like doing that balancing beam act, and the thing was just like making those little noises like it was really concerned he was going to fall, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need this game in my life.
Yeah, the fact that when you as that character jump, that the creature will catch you.
Yeah. And the second time when he jumped, and he just missed, and there for a brief second, I thought the demo might cut out, and then there was the triumphant moment of catching him.
Yeah, and then you climb up the thing, and then then you help him get up, and that was really cool. And we also got a release date window, 2016, the 10-year development cycle for The Last Guardian, finally coming out. I did not get a chance to see this live. I was at work. I looked at it and was like, wait, what? Really?
Yeah.
The Last Guardian?
Super exciting.
Finally putting out The Last Guardian? I mean, that's something that I think a year ago we got an update from Sony, and all they said was like, oh, we're still working on that.
Yeah, that was it. Oh yeah, that sure. It's still happening.
Yeah. Now Guerrilla came out. Of course, they are the guys kind of more known for Killzone, and they have a new game called Horizon.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Zero Dawn.
That name
that's
is
it.
fairly well imprinted on my head. A, because it's stupid, and B, because it was probably the most impressive new IP to me out of the entire conference.
Oh, it was really neat. I mean, it really shows like a world of like empty cities and reclaimed by the Earth, kind of like Earth After People or something like that.
Yeah, it reminded me of Enslaved, actually.
Yeah.
In a good way.
And then you see this girl. She's like kind of like this, tribal looking girl with a bow and arrow, and she's hunting robot animals.
Yeah, they were almost like dinosaurs, but they were obviously robots. And there's like this resource gathering edge to it, and a little bit of stealth, and some action, and then all of a sudden it breaks out in this awesome and very well done gameplay wise from the look of it boss fight, where she's just using this bow and arrow to bring down this charting like T-Rex thing of a dinosaur robot. Man, it feels weird to say that sentence.
This game looked really neat, and I agree with you. This was probably one of the new IPs that got introduced that really got my attention.
Yeah. I'm extremely curious about the story, and just in gameplay concept, I'm already intrigued enough by stealth, action, bow and arrow, robot dinosaurs.
It's really neat to see, a studio like Guerrilla doing something so different out of their norm.
Yeah, and it's going to be pretty, since Killzone Shadowfall is probably the prettiest game until The Witcher 3 and all of the next-gen system games.
Oh, yeah. Moving on, they did introduce the new Hitman, which I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's sort of just like a brand new Hitman game.
I think it's just a continuation, really, but they're just going to go back to basics with names, as long-run series are known to do.
Yeah, Hitman. Basically, what I have written down here, which I was taking notes when I actually went back and watched it when I got home that night, and I have notes. So it says leading with a digital release. I wrote that down.
Yeah, kind of an interesting choice.
Yeah, coming out digital first. Now, I also wrote down PS4 beta exclusive, 6 contracts exclusive to the system. That's kind of neat. And I know, I think I saw in the Square Enix press conference that it's coming out. I think it's in December. Yep, December 8th.
Yeah.
So December 8th, new Hitman coming out. Kind of neat because it's like brand new game, by the way, coming out December.
Yeah, again, another one of those. It's kind of almost like instant gratification. Not quite instant in this case, but it's really good to hear this game we had no idea existed is coming out so soon. Like what they say in the next 6 months, it's very exciting.
Right. I've enjoyed the Hitman games.
Me too.
I wouldn't say they're my favorite games, but I do enjoy them.
See, that's a series of games that I enjoy more for the fact that it even exists and that it is so well done as far as, going into like mechanics of assassination and stealth like that. It goes into it really in depth, and it's really cool, and the mission setups are always really neat, and they're like these big puzzles you have to solve. I enjoy it more in concept than I do in action. I do love playing them, but I'd be lying if I told you I've beaten a single one of them.
Now, I never got to beat the last one, but because I downloaded it for free. That's Hitman Absolution on PS Plus, and then I actually got it for like $4 for really cheap. I actually did like the gameplay with that. It seemed like it was a little more streamlined. It was really
they did a lot more with Absolution. I have played it, and it feels so much less clunky in its mechanic than the previous ones ever did.
Oh, of course. That's a game I'm actually looking forward to going back and playing. It's on my back burner when and if I ever get to it. Now, They did come out and they did reveal some new characters for Street Fighter V, which is exclusive to the PS4.
Yeah.
They are helping Capcom fund this game because apparently Capcom can't fund any game anymore.
Apparently not.
But it was Cammy and Birdie. They announced the new characters for that.
He's returning. Well, actually, Birdie's returning too, but from ancient times.
Oh yeah. PS4 beta July 23rd. I never did play Street Fighter 4. Did you?
I was a Mortal Kombat fanboy since like the womb. So, though I like them, the moment I try playing with somebody who has even a little bit more experience than me, I can't do anything, and it just frustrates me entirely. I don't get into Street Fighter at all, so it's rough for me.
It's really funny that you say that.
The closest I can do is Marvel vs. Capcom.
It's really funny that you say that because one of the things that I did for the 50th episode last week was I made a best of clip. And I made a best of clip of like the first 50 episodes, and a lot of stuff got left out. It's like 10 minutes long, so tons of stuff got left out.
Yeah.
And one of the things I found for you was a story about you telling about playing Street Fighter versus X-Men or whatever on the Sega Saturn.
Yes, I know the story.
And so I cut the story, but I did a special intro where I do the overlaying intro and I announce who's on the show. I announced every guest, and every guest had a random one-liner.
Yeah, I heard it too.
So off the wall. Did you hear the intro?
Oh yeah, I could hear the intro. I remember hearing it too. And I was like, Hadouken?
Hadouken. So yeah, I figured there was another one from you, and I think it was from the Cards Against Humanity holiday bullshit episode. Because I went with Hadouken because it was funny, but then there's another one that you said that said, I can't draw shit. But I went with Hadouken. No Man's Sky. What do you think about No Man's Sky?
Oh. Well, that game is impressed right from the get-go. When they announced it, I think it was early last year, it automatically was like, no, the game, it can't have that kind of scope. There's no way. It can't be that big and expansive and look that cool. And they just proved it this year at E3 that no, it is that big, that expansive, and yes, it's that fucking cool.
The concept really appeals to me. I do kind of worry a little bit about how much are you actually going to do on each planet.
Yeah, that's my concern. They haven't really delved into what the goal of the game is. Now, I love Minecraft. I've poured obscene amounts of time into it, and there's no goal in that game really. So
yeah.
I'm sure I'll pour plenty of time into No Man's Sky, but I always feel like I'm enjoying myself more. I'm more productive when I've got something to work towards. So I really want to know what they're putting out for us to do.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. And it's something we don't even have a release date yet. They said it's coming soon. This is a really cool like indie title though. That it really seems like it's one of the bigger indie titles coming out.
Oh, definitely. It's gotten a lot of publicity.
And there's another indie title that I guess we'll talk about here in a minute. But until then, here's a game that I didn't really know what I was seeing when they showed it, and that's Dreams by our good friends over at Media Molecule, made Little Big Planet and Tearaway. Dreams.
I'm a pretty big fan of Little Big Planet and Tearaway. I can't wait for the HD PS4 version they announced because I really wanted to play it. But I don't even know if game is the appropriate word.
See, I was thinking Mario Paint meets Little Big Planet, sort of conundrum.
That is probably as close to the description as I've heard yet. It looked more like, and this is far from a bad thing, because it all looked really cool. I just didn't notice anything that was play about it.
Yeah, no, it just seems like you make your little, like, movie or dream sequence, and
Yeah.
other people get to watch it, and it doesn't.
It looks like a way of... I mean, dream is the right way to put it. It's like kind of a way to put your dream to paper and demonstrate what it was like, what the experience is. And that's really cool. It's like a moving art form, like a way of portraying art in a new way, which is a really redundant sentence. But, I mean, it seems really cool. I just don't get the point, which, ironically, is their point. Because they really drilled that home. That's how they want you to feel after you watch this.
Yeah, I feel like this was the only part of the conference I feel was a kind of a low point, simply because I didn't know how to take this game. I feel like this game is going to appeal to like 3 people.
Yeah, I feel like a guard from Metal Gear Solid that sees a box off in the distance and the question mark appears over its head. It's just like, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how to take it. Could it be neat? Potentially. I do like the graphic style. I thought.
Yeah, that was really cool. It's almost claymation.
I feel like Media Molecule really does really well with their graphic style, and they've done that in the past with their titles that they put out.
Yeah, I mean, because, like, obviously Little Big Planet is so thickly, like, knit craft, and then Tearaway is this just paper-mache orgy.
Yeah, well, see, and speaking of orgy, that's what I'm a little bit afraid of, is watching some of these dreams. Am I going to see a bunch of dicks flying everywhere? What exactly am I going to be seeing? Because are they going to police that? I just feel like this is an open invitation for just people to draw porn.
Right.
I mean, wasn't there that feature with like the 3DS where you could draw pictures and send them to each other, and they shut it down because kids were drawing dicks?
Yeah, they did do that.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be the same thing. It's going to be like, what were we thinking?
Though they did kind of police Little Big Planet, to my knowledge, because I played quite a bit of like Little Big Planet 2, like the custom levels, and I never ran into any dicks.
Oh, well, that's a good thing, I guess. Another game that they kind of put out, another new IP, Firewatch.
Yeah, that was one of those that I'm really curious about too.
Yeah, I want to know more. It seems like kind of a neat little title. The graphics, for some reason, I feel like this graphical style is becoming popular. It's almost kind of like the Team Fortress Pixar style of character creation. I feel like that's getting really popular. That's really what it looked like. It seemed like it was first-person exploration into a forest where you're like this park ranger and you talk to somebody on the radio, and that's pretty much the only person you really talk to, apparently.
Yeah, but it's apparently like a murder mystery, maybe? Maybe murder is not the right way to put it, but this mystery about what the fuck is going on in these woods.
Apparently, yeah. We got just a little glimpse at it. No other information, like a release dates or anything like that. Just a first look.
I'm a real big fan of adventure games, so I'm already pretty well on board with the idea. So I'm hoping it pays off, and I'm looking forward to finding out the release date is so I can see more of it.
Oh yeah, and I hope we can see more of that coming into the future. Then they went into some more third-party stuff, like kind of saying like, hey, this is some exclusive stuff that we're getting. Of course, Destiny with their new expansion coming out this year. Not much to say about that. I didn't play Destiny.
Not really. I didn't play Destiny either, but I will say that expansion does make Destiny look even cooler than what I know it to be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the expansion is introducing a lot of new stuff, which intrigues me more than what I know Destiny already is. So I'm saying that this expansion might make me pick it up.
Well, maybe they've got another customer then, because I don't think I'm still going to do it.
I said maybe. I mean, it's got Borderlands-ish gameplay with Halo gunplay. And that's fine by me, because that's kind of fun in the first place. It's just I'm not sure if I'm intrigued enough by the game, period. I don't know. My feelings on Destiny are so conflicted. I feel like I'm a teenage girl in puberty again.
Now, there is a series they also kind of got back to. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. They started talking about PS4 exclusive missions. Assassin's Creed, for me, I did not play Unity. I heard about all the issues they were having. The last one I played was Black Flag. I kind of feel like this is a series that needs to take a year off. in my humble opinion.
I can't argue that point, but I'm also a huge fan of the series. I do think they would be better served if they went with take a year off and then release maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 2 games in a year if they were going to do that, because they're just pushing them out so fast now. A little more development time will only help, and sometimes I think we need a break.
I'm starting to have series fatigue with this. It's like I saw Unity and I saw they kind of took it back to what made Assassin's Creed. I saw all the problems. I said I'm gonna wait, and then I just never had any interest in picking it up. Syndicate is more so, reaching to a point where I kind of want to check it out, but with all the other games coming out, I don't think I'm gonna pick it up. And it's just, I kind of feel like, what new are they really adding to this? There's a few new things that I've seen, but I kind of feel like I'm afraid this series is losing their way.
I don't know if I can say that, although, partly because I don't know if you've heard this part of the story, but even though Unity kind of flopped critically because it wasn't doing all that great, it was too glitchy and all this, the storyline wasn't that satisfying, and the gameplay wasn't that satisfying either. On the flip side of that coin, for the previous generation, they made Rogue, and that is actually being hailed as the best Assassin's Creed game almost everywhere I turned.
Well, see, I heard the exact same thing. I definitely want to pick up Rogue and get that sort of the final chapter into that trilogy of Assassin's Creed 3, 4, Black Flag, and then Rogue kind of ties those two, ties up the story. I definitely want to check that out. I heard the exact same thing.
Yeah, see, I actually just started. I played through the Vita version, the Liberation. I played Liberation, and I played the DLC for Black Flag, where you're Awole. And honestly, it got me back into Assassin's Creed, so I'm going to be playing Rogue shortly. As much as I want to say I've got series fatigue, I usually pick up an Assassin's Creed and I'm good for hours. I'm very happy about Syndicate. It looks really cool. I think it's a great time for them to place it. And the fact that their main point of reference, I think one of the writers or the director of the game kind of said this, one of the main thematic things, or I can't even think of the words I'm trying to say. Okay, so basically they're using Gangs of New York as a main reference for how the game should feel.
Huh.
Now, I really like that movie, and the stylings of that movie and the attitude of that era fit perfectly with the time period they've selected for London. So I'm really excited to see how it influences, like how they're bringing in gangs and all sorts of neat little things. Like, it's the Industrial Revolution. It's the first quote-unquote modern Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's getting close to the turn of the century, which means if they're going to keep going, we're nearing World War I era.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I mean, I did hear that they really expanded the world of, was it London?
Yes.
Where we're at now, London, and there's going to be like 6 burgs, I think, 6 really big areas to make the to make it. Yeah. I've heard it's going to be like bigger than Paris was for Unity.
And I am fond of the idea that you're going to be having 2 protagonists.
I've heard you can kind of switch between the 2 as you go as well.
Yeah, and one being the brawler, the brute force type, and one being the stealthy, scheming type.
That is a kind of a cool aspect, and there's going to be like exclusive missions for each one.
Oh yeah.
All right, so moving on from that, we go back to our friends at Square, and they reveal a new game called World of Final Fantasy coming to PS4 and Vita. It's kind of like a cutesy, almost entry-level RPG style, merging different ideas from other Final Fantasy games.
Yeah. Almost a little. I felt like almost a little bit of Pokemon too, because you've got all these monsters that you can employ in different ways.
Yeah. I was definitely kind of caught off guard with this.
Yeah, it was something I was expecting.
The fact that it's coming to Vita, I think this is like one of the few times in the entire press conference they said anything about the Vita. That's
true. It's really gone, fallen into dust at the side of the road that they left behind 6 miles back. Just kept driving because it's gone too far.
They have so many good JRPGs, and this will be another good entry. So they kind of show this game, and then that's coming out 2016. But then they come out, and this is the next big reveal because they had Last Guardian to kick off the show. They've done all of this other stuff. They hit a few strides with some third-party stuff, a new IP here, a new IP there, and then they come out. They get to make this announcement, which is so freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And the trailer we get, I mean,
they even tried to play it off like we weren't gonna know what it was very quickly. It's just, oh my gosh! And then the fucking music from Advent Children starts laying in, and that's Midgar, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, is it real? Is it real?
I know. See, I wish I could have been watching this live because I know for a fact that certain people lost their shit. And I was at work and I saw this and I went, what? And I clicked on the link. I checked it out.
Exactly.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to PS4 first, which means it can come to other consoles as well. Yeah. But we're getting an FF7 remake.
Yeah, it is official. I mean, we always kind of knew that, if Sony was ever doing bad, they'll announce as a money printer. Always kind of an idea that they're probably tossing around. But for them to officially announce that it's being made when they've downcried that shit so many times in the past.
Oh, I know. And the fact is that I think there's like 4 people working on it that have worked on the original game. The original director, I think, is moved into like a producer role. I couldn't be wrong about that. I do know that the guy directing this, he directed Advent Children. He's also the creator of Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm all aboard. I mean...
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that it is not a remaster. It is a remake, and they've emphasized that too. This is not going to be the exact same game you played when you were a kid. This is going to be something a little bit different. And I'm actually so on board with that idea, it's not even fucking funny. I mean, if I want to play the original, I'll play the original on PC where the graphics are mildly better. But to have the idea of a remake, what gameplay tweaks are they going to implement? They mentioned the possibility of a little bit more story. Are they going to do full voice acting? Is this going to be the same story I love from my childhood told to me in a superior format?
Take my money.
Sure, take my money.
Oh yeah, take it all, man. And the fact is that, all right, I cannot remember the guy's name. It's like, I can't pronounce his first name anyway, but it's like Nomura, I think, is the guy who's directing this.
Yeah.
He said that, hey, yeah, we're finally working on this. We wanted to try and get me and Katase scheduled together for a long time. It hasn't really worked out until now. And with this, he also wants to go back and put out, official remakes of 5 and 6 as well.
Yeah, which, don't get me wrong, 5's a pretty good game. And in fact, it's actually one of the more superior early Final Fantasies. But 6, the idea of a 6 remake, I actually kind of needed to change my pants after I read that.
Can you imagine, like, Terra and Sabin, you seeing them in that same sort of quality?
Oh my gosh, that would be epic.
Oh yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a 7 fan. Actually, I'm just a Final Fantasy fanboy. Fuck it. But my favorite Final Fantasy is, and I can't decide which one ever. It's kind of a tie between Final Fantasy 6 and 8. But 7, 9 are right there tied for second place.
It's always subjective for us Final Fantasy geeks, which one you like more. 7 was like my first official one. I like 7, 4, 9, 6.
There's so many. And the thought of them remaking like some of the best ones is just really, really fucking exciting.
After that bombshell of an announcement, I mean, that announcement really rocked the room. And we got some indie games from Devolver.
Oh, wow. Those were brutal.
They start talking about Kickstarter, and we get a video talking about Shenmue 3.
Real thing happening, Shenmue 3. Oh.
This took my breath away. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I read it at work. I was like, after coming off the reading about FF7, trying to figure out if it was actually happening, and then Shenmue 3 Kickstarter, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. And I hear people talk all the time, too, about, oh, it's Kickstarter? Whatever, then. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're turning out great games from Kickstarter. But, no, I mean, just Shenmue 3. Almost no one I've ever talked to seriously thought it was ever going to happen.
I know, same here. And it was always, Sega has no interest. Suzuki, you've heard stuff from him that he would like to do it, doesn't really know how to get it done. And apparently,
Kickstarter is a great format that for some reason I never thought of as an option for that game.
We'll see. And Sony gave this project center stage.
Yeah, they did. Even
They gave
5 minutes of their time devoted to that project, that sent it right up to the full funding and beyond within 10 hours.
Oh, I know. And I'm on it right now, and it's the original goal was $2 million, and it reached that in 9 hours. And right now, with 26 days to go, it's at $3.4 million.
Doing just fine.
It's doing just fine. I did check it out. No Sega involvement with this one. They gave Suzuki full rights to Shenmue 3.
Yeah, which, thank God. And they've already
Yes.
cleared the stretch goal, too, for like a movie version of Shenmue 1 and 2 to be included on the disc.
Now, Wes, if I were Sega, and I'm seeing how much this is, I'd be like, look, we can put out an HD remaster of 1 and 2 and put that on the network, right?
Yeah. Now would be the time for that call.
You mean I would, and I know Suzuki doesn't have that because he only has the rights for 3 and beyond. Apparently, they struck some sort of deal that he can't talk about. But the fact that we in one press conference got Last Guardian, FF7 remake, Shenmue 3. This is like a fanboy's wish list of stuff that you would hope to get announced.
This is like, what the fuck? If I were to name, like 2 years ago, Dream E3 announcement schedule,
Yeah.
those 3 would be like amongst the top 4 announcements that the whole conference in my dream come true perfect world E3. Those would be like top 3-ish. That's just 3 epicness announcements right there.
Yeah, this Kickstarter broke the record for most quickest million raised. It raised $1 million in less than an hour and a half. It was an hour and a half, just over. That reached half of its goal. There's more to come out. This game is right now only getting a digital release on PS4, and it's getting a physical copy on PC. Now, the first 2 Shenmues are like highlights in my collection for my video game collection. So I'm hoping that if this game gets so much, they'll go, all right, we'll put out a PS4 physical copy. Because I tell you what, I'm playing it on console, and I don't want to do this, but damn it, I will buy a physical copy of PC at some point just so I can have the damn thing in my collection. This was just so cool, though. It seems like it's so out of left field. I never in a million years expected this.
No, it was brilliant. It was so perfect for them to just announce something so unexpected. Damn.
There's some sort of some news about what is Sony's involvement. They gave them the stage to announce it. They did say that they're involved. I've done some research before the show tonight and found out that Sony isn't directly helping fund the project. All the funds are coming directly from Kickstarter, but what they are doing is apparently Sony is covering all of the advertising for the game.
Smart.
Which that is in a
Very
couple
smart.
million in itself.
Yeah, that's basically like, okay, if you can organize this and get enough funding, we'll go halvesies.
It's somewhat, yeah. I mean, this is pretty cool. I mean, the fact that this has there were people crying in the audience when they announced this.
Yeah.
Did you see the game trailers live reaction to this?
No, I didn't. I'm sure it was pretty crazy.
Oh, okay. When we get off of air and you get time, you need to go look up game trailers because they react to the FF7 remake announcement, and
Oh,
then
man.
they were just coming down from that, and then they got hit with the Shenmue announcement, and one of those guys started crying as well.
It's just that kind of epicness is not meant for one human's emotions to just contend with.
I tell you what, and it was all downhill from there, because after that we got a new sort of trailer for Arkham Knight, sort of a really
It was
different
really
take.
cool. For a second, I thought, wait, is like Telltale doing a Arkham game?
Which actually would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I
And,
gotta say, I'd be down for it.
Oh yeah. Now, one thing I liked about that is that, spoiler alert, they showed the Joker getting cremated,
Yeah.
starting it off, and then you sort of played as a first-person cop who gets sprayed in the face with the Scarecrow.
Your ass, yeah.
You start shooting at the zombies, who are
Probably both innocent people and non.
exactly, and that's what got me with that, is that it just, I cannot wait for that game to come out.
Which we've got like 4 days.
Right. I do have the limited edition pre-ordered. Those who got the Batmobile edition got the bad
Ouch.
news this week that it got canceled.
Yeah, that is just painful.
Yeah, mine will be coming in the mail later on the week because I pre-ordered it and did not get the same day shipping. So, yeah, I'll have to wait a few extra days, but it'll be worth the wait.
I won't be able to afford it immediately, but I think one of my roommates will be able to, so,
Well, hey, it's just like when we lived together, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, once you beat the game, up for grabs.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, I
can
remember
tell you
all
how
those.
edge of my seat I was waiting for Mass Effect 2. Man, it broke in a house of 2 gamers.
Yeah, man, I tell you what. Coming from that, they did a little talk about Project Morpheus and how they're going to try and work with multiplayer for that.
Yeah.
And
Morpheus looks cool.
Yeah,
There's
it's-
nothing happening to make me go, too kitschy, or anything like that. For the same reason I look at Oculus Rift, I'm excited for Morpheus.
yeah, the only cool thing I've heard about those two things, with Oculus Rift, I just heard about this. I think it was at like last year's Comic-Con. They made it to where you can actually put the Oculus Rift on and stand on top of the wall from Game of Thrones.
Yes, I would love to do that. It lets you. The experience was that you in the elevator at the bottom of the wall for Game of Thrones, and it takes you all the way up, and you can actually look all the way around from the top of the wall.
That's amazing. But as
So
far
cool.
as it's kind of like the same idea as the HoloLens. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be into it. Now, a really big announcement for Sony, really. They are now the official home, sort of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Which, that was like, for the longest time, that's been Xbox. At every single E3,
Oh,
Xbox is like, and now our Call of Duty segment. And now it's on PlayStation. You're going to get the DLC map packs first on PlayStation. They sort of switched over to the, for the current gen, they have the most install base. Which, that was one thing I noticed when I saw that it was at Microsoft. It sort of made me think it's going to PlayStation, because the Microsoft press conference felt so, fresh. It was like refreshing to see that no Call of Duty.
Yeah. It was almost anticlimactic for Sony to go for that for their like final big thing.
Yeah,
Actually, that makes sense. Do I care? No.
yeah, I'm kind of feeling you there. But pretty much, I watched it and it looked like a typical Michael Bay movie kind of gameplay.
That describes pretty much every Call of Duty since Black Ops 1.
I watched it, and I wrote down Call of Parkour because it seemed like all of the multiplayer, you're running on walls and sliding underneath stuff. And
Yeah.
it looks cool, but I won't play it. Coming out November 6th, another big game. Then they announced a deal with Disney Infinity with the new Star Wars packs and figures, and a slight exclusive for that time. Then they showed Battlefront.
Not that their demo for that was quite as impressive as the one that EA showed, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But nonetheless, I can't see enough of that game right now. Even though I am like so against multiplayer normally, or like I shouldn't say against multiplayer, but like multiplayer only games.
Yeah.
I can't help but be very excited for Battlefront because A, it harkens back to when me and some friends would crowd around a console and one of us would be a Jedi and one of us would be just praying to God that barrel detonator killed him. It does that for me. Plus, Star Wars is so ingrained in my being that I can't help but not be excited, but be like super excited for this epic Battles of Star Wars comes to life better than ever game.
Yep. You summed it up. I mean, it looked awesome. It looks fantastic. The last thing they showed, though, they closed it again 2 years in a row. Uncharted 4. This time, more gameplay.
Oh, so nice too.
Yeah, when they got it working.
Yeah.
They had a little hiccup where it...
cracking up because for a moment again I thought, pause for effect, what's going on here, are they going to start talking over it, some commentary, and no, he just kind of stands there for 5 seconds until they reset the game.
I think they had like a controller problem. I heard
they actually did explain it, but I forgot to read that article, so I'm malinformed for the subject.
Yeah, me too, but what about the gameplay? That was awesome.
Oh man, it was amazing. It's the Uncharted we know it of, Nathan and fucking Sully getting into shit and trying their best to get out of it, cracking quips, and, showing off some of the best dialogue in gaming.
Oh, man, it was that whole sequence when he's driving that Jeep. That was awesome. It kind of seemed like maybe you could actually take a couple of paths to get to the same...
Exactly. It actually... post that showing, they actually said that Uncharted 4 is going to feel a little more open than any of the other Uncharteds have before, because their system allows them to branch it out a little bit, even among the linear storyline. So that's
sweet,
pretty
man.
exciting. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Did it look good too? With or the mud physics, like the mud actually. This is a weird thing to notice, I know. Damn, like you can see the tracks and the mud flew up and it splattered on things. It was really impressive.
I was blown away by it. And of course they end it right when it's still going. Come on, man. I want to see how this ends.
And even worse, behind closed doors, there's another 10 minutes to that demo.
Oh no, shut up.
And we didn't get it.
Of course we didn't. Now, that's Sony's, and I'm going to have to give them the win overall.
I really think you get the banana sticker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get 3 really blockbuster announcements, plus on top of that, then you get to announce, all the third-party stuff that, casual players are looking forward to seeing as well. The only thing that they did not have that I was expecting to see was Persona 5, since that's going to be PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, I didn't really get that.
No, I'm thinking it's going to be at Tokyo Game Show, though, and I've heard that it's going to be...
Tokyo Game Show. I think they're just generally holding back.
Yeah, I've heard that it's going to be 2015 Japanese release, and not sure on a North American yet, probably next year.
Probably or mid-2016.
Yeah, I'm sort of thinking about that myself, but, Wes, for a second here, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll jump right back into it here in just a second. All right, we are back from our little break. We just got done with the Sony press conference, and we're gonna, before we move into the other ones, which are actually admittedly a lot smaller in notes. I didn't really take that many for them.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, right after the Microsoft one, press conference, right after that one, the new trailer for Metal Gear Solid 5 got put out.
Oh yeah. Which is weird that that's an afterthought for both of us.
Well, see, okay, I mean, I really didn't know where else to put this because it didn't appear in any, press conference.
Yeah, it really didn't.
So, I did watch this trailer, and I did dissect it. Apparently, this is going to be the last trailer directed by Kojima for Metal Gear. So it is, quite the moment, because there were some things in here that really caught my eye, such as the blonde-haired girl.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think that is?
Eva is not out of the question.
Well, okay, for me, she was a bit young to be Eva.
That might be, yeah. That could be too.
I was thinking two. I have two thoughts. One of them I'm more sure about. The other one I don't really know.
Okay.
The one I don't really know for is Naomi Hunter.
Hmm.
And the timeline's right, but it's also timeline right for Sniper Wolf.
Oh. Those are both really good options. I mean, Naomi, typically, we know her with black hair, but that doesn't mean...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, see, I've only seen the trailer the one time, so I'm not entirely on top of the details. So.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, I've got a couple more notes here. Hopefully you caught it. Psycho Manus.
Yes. Clear tease toward that.
Psycho Manus rocking the red hair. Looks
Yeah,
like
apparently.
he's with the Sex Pistols.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see that because, well, I love Psycho Mantis, and he's only been in, one game. Although technically, I'll say 2 games because he is in 4.
Yeah, his spirit,
But-
so to speak, is in 4.
Yeah. But I'm really excited because he's always been one of my favorite villains from the series, even though he's only like an afterthought in the end, and even though he's innovative as hell, an afterthought.
Oh yeah. Metal Gear Rex.
Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Not only that, but who jumped into it? But some blonde-haired kid that looks kind of like a young Liquid.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Maybe actually that might be the timeline. The Les Enfants Terribles project is complete and they're actually out already.
You will see that was the little big thing at the end where you saw both brothers
Yeah.
aboard a helicopter, and I think it's Boss's voice that said Zero called it Les Enfants Terribles. So we're going to see that.
I must not have been paying very close attention at the time either because I should have picked up on all that shit. So I don't know how I haven't rewatched the trailer, but I guess I was lost in all the FF7 remake, Shenmue 3 stuff.
I'll tell you what, dude. I totally understand that because this came out kind of like early Monday morning, and of course, Sony rocked the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I've got I do have the collector's edition pre-ordered on Amazon for Metal Gear Solid 5. I'll be looking forward to that when that comes out.
So excited for that game.
They released the 40-minute play demo or gameplay demo. Was it yesterday, day before?
Yeah, I remember seeing they released it, but again, it's not something I've seen yet.
I would recommend it. It looks really cool.
I'm sure. I'm actually it's the replay in celebration of the Phantom Pain coming out. I'm about to do a solid, and this is me shamelessly plugging my other podcast network too.
Go for it.
But I'm about to do a replay of the Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, and I'm going to have the whole playthrough recorded, and it's going to be uploaded to YouTube.
Really?
And that's for, the BrandoCast Gaming Network, which is just a small offshoot of the BrandoCast Podcast Network that we do all our shit for.
That's awesome, dude. I can't wait to check that out.
Fun. I'm going to do a through, and I'll be commentating. This is the first time I've ever played a game. I've ever played a game online too. So I'm probably going to be stupid, and quiet, or loud. Who knows? I really don't.
You know what would be really cool is if we could sort of like at some point maybe do something together like that, and maybe
that would be really
something.
cool. Honestly, Metal Gear would be a pretty good choice since we're both pretty huge fucking fans.
Oh yeah, dude, and we could babble on all day about that. But I want to get into EA.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I've been wanting to get into them a little more heavily because it's another franchise that we're both diehards for that they announced.
Mm-hmm.
Kicked off the conference with it, in fact.
Yes, they kicked off with Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, I thought it was weird that they kicked it off with Ghost Riders in the Sky, but holy shit, I was on board already anyway, but come on. Yes.
Oh yeah,
Every little bit.
I think it was like a month ago where they had like this leak or something that kind of came out, and it was like from some sort of survey, and they said it was going to be in the Andromeda system with all this sort of, and this really ties in. It makes that leak really, really accurate. Mass Effect Andromeda, exploring a new galaxy, making a new home for humanity and other races. Of course, we don't know when it takes place yet.
Well, we do know it's roughly. This is rough because it's the only confirmation I'm aware of. They said for a while that it was either going to take place either 1,000 years before the Mass Effect trilogy or 1,000 years after. They eventually confirmed that it was going to be after, so I think they're sticking with the idea of it being that far in the future.
So I wonder if they did that just so they wouldn't have to deal with anybody having to pick like a definite ending, or they can be a little bit more vague on that.
They can be a lot more. And they did say don't lose your save games. So I'm
right. Which I'm not sure how that's going to work now with it kind of going to the next console.
Yeah.
Which they did not. They actually said they're not going to do a remaster version of the Mass Effect trilogy, which actually kind of disappointed me. I was actually
I'm a little disappointed too, but with the backwards compatible on Xbox One, I can't really have any true anger at that fact. As long as I can play them, I'll be happy.
I was just looking forward to 1080p 60 frames per second, you know.
That would be pretty cool. Although, from what I hear, Mass Effect 1 runs better on Xbox One than it does on Xbox 360.
Oh, dude, I can't wait then.
That was hilarious for me to hear. And I'm just like, wow, normally you hear about stuttered performance whenever they do emulation and shit. No, it's apparently actually better.
That's awesome. That is really awesome.
Yeah, in any case, Andromeda, we didn't get much, but we saw a quick preview of a couple of worlds to some Johnny Cash, and I was having fun sort of with that. I knew it was Mass Effect, but when they kicked off that little brief montage of awesome, that was when I got the shivers.
Oh yeah, dude, it was cool. I cannot wait to see more of that. And they said they're going to release more of that later on this year, probably for N7 Day, I would assume.
I'm sure.
Can't wait for that.
And apparently, this is just subjective on my part, but they really did kind of focus on it. Jetpack confirmation?
Maybe. It'd be pretty cool if they did.
Yeah.
All right, Need for Speed reboot. What are your thoughts?
Actually, there. That is the thing I mentioned earlier. The racing game, I actually might, and emphasis on might, care about.
This seemed really cool. They really started it off showing you like what seemed like a really deep customization feature.
Yeah.
And of course, this thing kind of harkens back to what we said about Assassin's Creed a little bit, that they took a year off for Need for Speed. They came out with Rivals right when the new systems came out, and they didn't release the game last year. They sort of took the year off, and they're coming out with this new reboot. And
Good
this
call.
really harkened back a little bit to me. It made me think of Underground.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm so potentially jacked about it. Because actually, what their exact words were at one point, okay, maybe not exact, I'm not verbatim here, but they wanted to take the customization of like some of the later games where you can just customize them like crazy, along with the story of Most Wanted, which I don't know if I've ever told you this per se, because it doesn't exactly come up often, but the original Need for Speed Most Wanted is the best racing game of all time, and if you think otherwise, you're wrong. But it had a story that it didn't need to be it wasn't like this deep, satisfying story. It's a racing game, but it was more than enough to keep me entertained on the story perspective, while I was having so much fun in this big open world, customizing racing and all that stuff. So the fact that they're even going to try and implement a real story kind of like that, maybe just integrate it so it feels natural like it did in that game, is really enticing. And then just all the stuff they did show sounded amazing, and they announced that it was going to be kind of open world, like the Underground games. It sounds like that perfect combo that Most Wanted managed to be for me.
That's awesome. I mean, I saw how like he took off, and it almost like he seemed like he joined a race in progress.
Yeah. That's almost what it looked like.
I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear more about it because it sounds like it's going to be like my favorite racing game.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. It seemed like it had a lot going for it. That's coming out November of this year, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. And the next thing they showed that I wrote down, because I actually, for EA guys, I only put down like a few because we all know they do sports.
Yeah, we can gloss over. Oh wait, I do have one thing to say about sports, so we can gloss over it real quick. That new facial technology where they capture an image of your face, pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. More spot on than I've ever seen those.
Cool.
It was cool.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe someday can get that in Mass Effect or Fallout or something, but for now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Star Wars: The Old Republic expansion, Knights of the Fallen Empire. Did you ever play into the Old Republic at all?
I have played the Old Republic. I've got like level probably 14 or 15 Jedi Consular. Not high enough in my opinion. I want to keep playing, but lack of computer, as I've mentioned.
Yeah, I've always kind of wanted to check it out, but the fact that it's sort of like computer only kind of puts me off. I don't really play too much on the computer.
Fair enough. I will say it does play and feel like an old school. I mean, obviously it's MMO, so it's not quite that way, but very much like Knights of the Old Republic. They nailed the feel of it. And the fact that it's story-driven, which is weird for an MMO, turns out to be fantastic for people like us.
Oh, that's awesome. I know they came out with a Revan DLC last December.
Yes, they did, and that's one of the main reasons actually that I want to get back into that game because I want to know what happens.
Right? Yeah, same here. I might actually maybe pick it up once they kind of get all the expansions out, and I can just kind of play them all if I can never get into that. Now the next thing, and this is going to be the last thing that I cover on EA, unless you have something else. They showed the new Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Yes. I am very excited.
Oh yeah, as a lot of people are, which is really neat. The EA they put dice on this to make this.
They're using frostbite to make it all pretty.
I mean, it's been a long time since the first Mirror's Edge. Was that 07, 08?
Oh, it was very close to the release game for 360. It's right that first generation of games for the 360.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, and I remember playing it a little bit. I remember playing it at like Nate's apartment back in the day. I remember he was really big into it, and I thought it was neat, but I also thought it was almost a little overwhelming. The art design in this sequel, holy crap!
I know. Well, honestly, the first game, I think it was just the lighting system that they had implemented, but honestly, that first game looked 8G on a standard TV, which that's pretty impressive. But to take that to a whole nother level for the for the current generation of games, holy crap, it looked nice.
Oh yeah, it looked great. I really liked what little bit of what looked like gameplay to us anyway. It said it was running in engine, which doesn't necessarily mean that it was straight gameplay. It could have just been a mock-up that they made, but it looked great. I'm really glad this is coming out.
Me too, and I actually enjoyed the announcement that you can't actually even use guns in this one.
Yeah.
Focusing on that, the whole point for her was that her abilities, her fighting abilities, are tied into martial arts and momentum. That's the point. So, I mean, guns were such an afterthought in the first game, I never even knew them.
Now, I did see an interview with Peter Moore, one of the big guys over at EA, and they asked him about Mirror's Edge, and he says, "Is this a game that we're going to make a buttload of money on? Probably not. We didn't make a lot on the first one, but this is a game that he felt needed to get made for the fans."
And I'm really happy it is, and it looks better than I could have expected, considering that it was like such a game that they're probably not going to make a lot of money off of. Why put the effort?
We'll see, and the ironic thing about that is that that's the same guy who kind of put the end in Shenmue.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of irony there. If only, he could have redeemed himself, but I guess he wasn't involved with that at all with Shenmue. Of course, he's at EA now, not with Sega or Xbox. That's all I have for EA.
I have a brief mention, because I kind of brought it up earlier. Battlefront, the demo they did for Battlefront was so fucking superior to the one we got in the other conferences, because I think it showed up in like 2 other conferences.
Yeah, I think it did, didn't it?
Yeah, but no, that Hoth battle.
Yes.
Wow. It showed all of it. There were the X-Wings and the frickin' I never remember the name of the fighters that have the tethers that they used on Hoth to trick the walkers.
The speeders, the air speeders, snow speeders, or something like
I don't remember what those ships were called, but anyway, X-Wings, TIE fighters. They had all the ships in a dogfight above what was essentially a squad battle below, just like enemy forces coming up against the rebels, and it showed off every ounce of that fight, whereas almost every single piece of play of the characters running around, vehicles being piloted, spaceships being dogfighted, that was like players or AI interaction all happening concurrently.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there were people in the vehicles and people on the ground, and they were all intermingling in little bits and pieces between parts of their own battles. And it seemed like it had scope for a multiplayer battle.
Oh, yeah.
It was really, really impressive to me. And, of course, to end showing off a Jedi in Battlefront for the first time since Battlefront, all those years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap, that's cool.
It really seemed like controlled chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Controlled chaos. That's a good way to put it.
I mean, it really did. It came across as like you almost didn't know where to look or what to do. They were jumping around, showing you different aspects of everything, and you just wanted to be everywhere at once.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. And I gotta say, kudos to the guy piloting the TIE fighter when they go through the canyon, because I would have crashed and burned.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Battlefront's going to be a game to look out for. I hope. See, that really sucks. Is that, and same with you, is that you've really got to pick and choose what games you get.
Yeah.
This fall, all these games sort of coming out around the same time.
The good news is I'm one of those few, rare, apparently as they are, people that still believes in renting games. So I'm hoping I'll still get to experience all things.
At least you're keeping Family Video in business.
Exactly. I'm probably one of those few.
Moving on to Ubisoft. South Park.
Oh, that opening was beautiful.
South Park, The Fractured But Whole.
Yeah, if not for Sony, that would have been the biggest surprise for me out of the whole conference.
It kind of sucks because it kind of went very, buried after all the other big stuff that happened, because I didn't hear about this until well after Sony's. I was looking at okay, what did Ubisoft do? And it what? Wait a minute, they're making a new South Park, man.
A direct sequel starring the Coonan friends and it being superhero themed instead of fantasy. Yeah. Oh man.
I guess it's still going to be an RPG.
Yeah, they're going to just continue as far as they've said, because I watched all of it with Matt and Trey talking about it with Aisha Tyler, and talking about how they just wanted to evolve some gameplay mechanics, introduce some Stick of Truth, and keep the same funny fucking bullshit going. That sounds amazing.
I loved that trailer when they're still in their Stick of Truth garb, and they walk up to the lair of the new villain, which is Professor Chaos, and he just happens to say, "You'll never stop me, Coon and friends," and then he goes, "Oh, wait a minute. Change costumes, everybody."
Wrong game. And they immediately go change their outfits. They're back. Oh, shit, yes.
It was awesome. I cannot wait to play that.
Yeah, to me, it's probably the funniest game I've ever played.
I agree.
It was just hilarious, the entire game. And so to get a direct sequel to that, where you play as the new kid, and this is quoting Matt and Trey, to delve into the mysterious origin of your awe-inspiring anal powers. I can't wait to see what kind of shit they serve us. And that's probably a literal term, too.
Probably. I cannot wait for that. The next game that they showed, or the next one I have down, is a game called For Honor.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was an intriguing one.
It's a new IP, and it's knights, Vikings, and samurais. It seems like they're all in a war.
Yeah.
Like this, it seems like it's multiplayer centric, and you pick your faction, and you just fight against each other for control of the battlefield.
Yeah, it looked pretty damn cool. I mean, it reminded me of that show on Spike TV, which I watched longer than I should have. Deadliest Warrior.
Deadliest Warrior, yeah, I remember that game.
It was a cool
They actually made a
show.
game for that.
And the weaknesses of each warrior and pit against each other. Well, it kind of seems like that in action.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they actually, as I said, they actually made like a game for that, but it wasn't very
No.
big or good.
No.
But this
No,
seems
no.
like that on a much bigger level.
Yeah.
I don't have much else to say about it. The combat looked interesting with the right stick.
That's what I'm most intrigued by. I want to see how the combat works.
It's like you pick what side you want to defend and or attack on. It's kind of like a rock paper scissors type thing.
Yeah.
Where if someone else obviously can get sort of like attack on the other side of where you're blocking, he's going to get a hit.
Yeah, I would say those battles were pretty intense.
Oh yeah, it was intense, and some of the executions they had were pretty
Very
gnarly as
brutal.
well. Then we got a release date for The Division with a little bit more gameplay that we saw there. March 8th, 2016 for The Division.
Oh yeah, that'll make quite a few people happy. That's a pretty sharp-looking game. It's not my typical fare. I'll probably give it a try though, because it's very ambitious and it has a lot of potential.
I'm right there with you. I'll probably give it a check out. Then release date, Rainbow Six Siege. I mentioned that earlier. This next one that I'm going to mention, though, threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting this. Ghost Recon.
Yeah, I called it about 2/3 of the way through the trailer, but I really was surprised that it was actually Ghost Recon.
Yeah, I didn't even think they were going to come back to this at all.
No, it was so cool though, because they really emphasized tackling the same situation 3 different ways, and it was really cool to see it happen like that. It feels like, I'm a huge fan of the Deus Ex games. I know I'm mispronouncing that. I don't care. I've always said it that way. Anyway, I love them because they emphasize the fact that just about any situation you can come across, you have options on how to tackle it. Hack the ATM, snipe from far away, go non-lethal, stuff it, all these options. And I like it when games outside of that series, just because I'm using that as an example because it's the only one I can think of where it was so emphasized and well done. But I love it when they can bring that into other series. And Ghost Recon is actually a really good option for that.
It's going to be like a big open world map where you have different objectives, different missions throughout the map. It really seemed like they're doing a lot. Now is this? It seemed like it's 4-player squad based. Is this online co-op?
I would assume so. I don't know that, but it would make a lot of sense if they did it that way too.
See, that's exactly what I was thinking about it when I was watching the trailer for it. I'm like, that would be freaking awesome. You could just get together with a couple of buddies, go in, and just kick some ass, and then I love that aspect of that. I don't really have much else to add at Ubisoft that we haven't already talked about.
No, there's really not a whole lot. They had a good, solid showing. Oh wait, no, Game of the Year possible for 2016, Just Dance. Oh my god.
Oh man, I can't wait. I cannot wait to stand in front of my television and act like a damn idiot.
I can't wait to get to GameStop and scan all the games that are out, look at Just Dance, and think to myself, I should probably exercise more right before I pick up the newest game that I actually care about.
Yeah. Speaking of one coming out this year, and we're jumping over to the Square conference now. Just Cause 3.
Oh yeah, I love that series for the open world chaos that it is. It's so fun.
It definitely seems like that's continuing.
Yeah,
Just Cause 3.
Obscenely unrealistic grapple gun physics included.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely seems like that they're taking that to the next level a little bit.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It seemed like a lot of fun. That's coming out December 1st. Another game coming out right in that, like, 3-month window where you're going to have to pick and choose which games you want unless you're going to rent them all.
Yeah. I'd rather own, but, money gets in the way of me doing that.
Money gets in the way of everybody doing something, I think. Especially when you have this many games that are like, quality games and sequels and all sorts of stuff coming out around the same time. Now, Square's press conference was a bit weird compared to the other ones. Even the Nintendo one that was like the digital event, Square's seemed like they held it in front of like 15 people.
Yeah, probably like a small boardroom meeting or something. Weird.
It did come off as weird. Because all the other ones kind of seemed like they were a bit more big extravaganza, and this one was like just very toned down, bit of a thing for them. And they did finally show gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, yes, they did. Oh, it was beautiful. They announced a world for one of my favorite recent Disney movies. I love Tangled. I don't care who knows it. But Kingdom Hearts has always been very just right up on me because I'm a diehard Final Fantasy and I'm a diehard for Disney. And dear God, marrying them in an original plot that I actually enjoy, fuck yes. Fuck yes. And to see it in this gloriously realized, like, PS4 graphics. Oh, man. That was one of the highlights of the conference, like, E3 period for me, because I've been waiting so long.
Oh, yeah. It definitely struck a chord. I was not expecting to see gameplay at all. I was expecting to see like
another cinematic trailer or something like that.
Yeah, another CG trailer or something. But we got gameplay. It was awesome, and of course, it just whetted your appetite to know when this game was going to come out. I like that new gameplay mechanic that they're doing, where it seems like they're taking like they have the little teacups where you actually
right. They're using like summon attacks almost.
I know, that was so cool. And they did it with the train, the teacups, with the pirate ship, with the Pegasus.
No, the Pegasus one's not even a ride, to my knowledge. So that was an actual summon, but the rest are.
But they all have like the same kind of look to them, so it's kind of weird.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited.
Yeah, they talked more about Hitman.
Yeah, a little bit more about that. It's just the fact that it is an open world.
Yeah. Now, Star Ocean 5. Integrity and Faithlessness.
Did you say I missed it for a second?
Star Ocean 5. Integrity and Faithlessness.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That was the subtitle.
Wow, Star Ocean. I'm very surprised that they brought back Star Ocean.
Yeah, I was really not expecting it.
I heard about it a couple months ago that they may be doing another Star Ocean. And it seems like they've done this series sort of sporadically. They had the first game didn't even come out here. It came out on the Super Nintendo over in Japan. Then we got the second one on PS1, and they remade those two on PSP, I think. Then we got one on the PS2, and then we got one on the PS3 and 360. Now we're getting this one, and the fact that we're getting a Star Ocean now is really awesome because I feel like it's a game series that deserves a little bit more love than what it gets. And I sort of feel like that since we're getting this along with Persona and Final Fantasy, I feel like in a way we're seeing somewhat of a small resurgence of like RPGs.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because they're getting focused on again.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that fact because I've been a diehard RPG fan for so many fucking years, and I love the fact that it's truly taking spotlight again.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, the simple fact that they took time out of the press conference to say, "Hey, we're working on a new Star Ocean," when you can walk up to somebody on the street who's a gamer, ask them if they like Star Ocean, they're probably gonna look at you like they don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's true. Now, see, I wouldn't call myself one of those. But it's a series that I've always looked at and been like, I should totally play that sometime. And then I look at the price tag for like one of them, and I'm just like, oh, wait a second. I don't know. Is there a cheaper way to get a hold of this yet?
Right, yeah. I actually did. I think I have all of them in some form now. I have the PSP version of the original. I have the PS2 or PS1 version of 2, PS2, and then the 360 version, I think. So I've kind of got them spread out. I'm excited to see what they do because I actually like the gameplay that they show when they finally start showing combat.
Really cool.
Yeah, they started showing combat. It looked really neat. I'm really excited to see where they're going. They have a 6-person party system.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what you can do with that. Next thing I have on the list to talk about for Square, Dragon Quest Heroes.
Yeah. I've always, again, Dragon Quest, it doesn't appeal to me as greatly as Final Fantasy, per se, but I have played several Dragon Quests, and they're solid RPGs.
Yeah. I mean,
it was nice to see a new kind of addition to it.
Yeah, this is more of the Dynasty Warriors meets, Dragon Quest.
Kind of like Hyrule Warriors.
Yes, pretty much. And it's kind of neat, though, because they're bringing in, some characters from the other Dragon Quest games to be side characters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But what I think they're kind of doing is that they're trying to, reinvigorate the series a little bit. And I've heard rumors that they will be making a Dragon Quest 11 for the PS4 consoles. Now, with Dragon Quest, we never got 10. That is a MMO.
Is it really? I hadn't heard that.
Dragon Quest X came out in Japan as an MMO, and I wanted to say it was on the Wii.
Emulating Final Fantasy, not one of the good ways doing MMO.
Well,
this is coming from a strictly single-player person for the most part, so that's just my 2 cents.
Right, yeah. I've enjoyed what I've played of Dragon Quest. I'm not a diehard fan, but I definitely want to play more, and I'm excited to see kind of them get some more popularity going on. That game is coming out, Dragon Quest Heroes coming out in October. Another one of those games right in the fall, man. It's almost like...
Yeah.
I remember when I joined the podcast a year ago when we did this thing, and I actually made a list on my first episode of how many games got pushed back to 2015. And it was becoming way too much. And now it's I know, and stuff still got pushed back from that even further, but I should make a list about how many games are just coming out this fall. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, a game that, hey, you kind of like, Deus Ex.
Oh, yeah.
Mankind Divided.
Don't get me wrong, what I saw from it, I'm pretty excited for, other than the fact that, dear God, what happened to their noses? The whole trailer, I'm like, what is going on with their noses? I don't understand. It's kind of like when you're playing Fire Emblem Awakening, it's like, why don't they have feet? It just kind of throws you off. And other than that, the game looks really solid. I'm a big fan of Human Revolution, despite its, pick a slight flavor difference ending. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Solid Deus Ex entry, especially with the director's cut fixing the boss fights. And I'm excited to see a direct sequel. And the gameplay, again, I don't think they're going to make what few mistakes they made with Human Revolution again. And they've really opened up the world of possibilities for combat.
Yeah, I haven't played. I don't think I've ever played a game in this series.
If you're going to try playing one, pick up Human Revolution, because it's the most accessible immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like that, go back to Invisible War, which a lot of people hate, but I grew up on, so I end up loving it anyway. And the original, which of course is PC, so maybe you won't get there.
Yeah, maybe not, but you never know. Of course, this new one's coming out in 2016.
Yes.
Not a whole lot left here that I've written down, stuff we've already sort of talked about at length already.
I have something I want to talk about, or I should say, I want to talk about the lack of something at E3. I was pretty disappointed with Square in just completely leaving out Final Fantasy 15.
You are right. I actually just never thought about it. They released that demo with Type 0. They said they're releasing an update.
Which is really awesome, I might add. But I was a little disappointed we didn't get a fresher trailer for it or something. or even just a hint more gameplay. And again, it's kind of like, hell, we mentioned it earlier, and I can't even remember what game it was, where it would have been, Zelda Wii U. It's kind of like Zelda Wii U. It would have been nice if they even just acknowledged it was still coming.
Maybe show like a quick...
Well, actually, I lie a little bit, because they did show a very, very, very brief teaser and a montage video. I don't know. I would have liked some dialogue on it.
Yeah, as I said kind of earlier, I just kind of forgot about it as with everything that was going on. They didn't even mention that game at all. And considering that is a game that's pretty, I would say, not that far away off the horizon.
I would say that it's going to get to Japan probably mid next year or holiday of next year. That's what my guess is, which means we'll see it spring of 2017.
Now, do you actually think they're going to do that, or do you think they're going to try and get both out?
If we're really lucky, we're going to get it a lot sooner. But I'm not holding out for luck on this. My hopes and dreams hinge too heavily on how soon I get that game.
Oh yeah, I mean, we both know how they like to take their time.
And they do, and I'm okay with that. I just need to deal with it as my own personal problem of impatience.
Yeah. The other Final Fantasy thing that they talked about was something called the Final Fantasy Portable app, and it's going to somehow bleed into, I guess, FF15 or 14, the MMO. You're going to get some stuff with that, and news, whatever. It's going to be launching this summer. And I read it on an article where apparently Triple Triad, the card game from FF8, is going to be playable through this app.
Huh. That's fucking cool. I didn't hear that. Oh, it'd be so awesome if they could bring together all the mini games from Final Fantasy's history, like the card game from 9, which is eluding me, which was actually my favorite.
Tetramaster,
yeah, I love Tetramaster. Triple Triad is close second, but Tetramaster is so fun. But yeah, it would be really cool to do that, and I had no idea that's what they were planning with the app.
I heard another rumor, and this is about FF14, that they might be bringing Blitzball to FF14.
Oh, I did hear that rumor, and that's an interesting one too.
Oh yeah, it's very weird. Now, I have no idea anything else about this portable app. They didn't really talk about it too much, just mobile. But then the last thing that they talked about was a brand new... it was so weird. This whole press conference was a little weird. It's like they closed on a brand new project they really didn't have much to show for except for like concept art. And it was from a... Yeah, right. But like when you have nothing to go off of and you don't really even know what it's about, it's hard to get excited for it. But I am excited for the concept of... They made a new studio called Tokyo RPG Factory, which is a studio that is like... created with the intent of like making old school classic JRPGs that Square's known for.
Brilliant idea, most generic name imaginable.
Right? It's like what
accurate. They're not selling anything that isn't advertised.
What is it? Sony has Studio Japan. That's the company that's making Last Guardian.
Yep.
They're going to be right next door. But honestly, that's all I have for E3.
Yeah, well, I have one more small note, and it's topical to Square Enix.
Okay, go for it.
I thought it was really awesome, even though I haven't finished the game because, well, since I said earlier, I believe in renting still. And I rented the first Nier a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I really liked what I played, but at the time super broke and had to take it back before I could finish it. And haven't gotten back to it, but I really wanted to. Now, with the announcement of a sequel, I gotta say, I'm a little more driven. I'm kind of happy about it.
I totally forgot to write that down.
Yeah, it was kind of a really underdog game that generally people really liked. And it was kind of surprising that they had a nice E3 announcement about getting a sequel to it.
Yeah. When I was watching it, I was like, "What is this?" And then once they showed the name, I was like, "Oh, okay, I remember that." I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, it was that signifies pretty much everyone's feelings on the game. Even though they liked it, it just kind of got swept under the rug. So it was nice little surprise for them to pop out with a sequel.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you have that we haven't covered?
I actually think we've covered everything in this, 2 hours, 45 minutes?
It's gonna get there. I mean, we had a couple of connection issues. I don't know how much that's gonna come across in the final product. I'll try to splice them together pretty good and maybe make a break out of it. But if anybody had trouble hearing Wes, he's calling through on Skype, of course, and I really didn't hear too
I apologize ahead of time. I don't have this Primo set up.
Well,
I wish I did.
Hopefully it kind of came across all right, and I think it sounds all right on my end at least. And that's E3. That's one hell of an E3 this year. That's one of the more memorable ones for me, other than when PlayStation came out a few years ago, right after the Xbox press conference came out, and they totally bombed it with the announcement a few weeks before, and then the press conference, and then PlayStation came out with the Macho Man elbow drop, and really
wrecked them.
Oh man!
Just with one quick 2-minute video of this is how you share games on a PS4. That's all they needed to do.
Oh, I know, that was great. This one's right up there with it.
Yeah, this E3, and it's been more wholly successful, because even though Nintendo was a little underwhelming, generally the whole conference was full of just good stuff.
I was really happy with Microsoft, extremely happy with Sony. Square and Nintendo are almost on the same level with me. I had some cool things with Square, but the whole press conference was just weird to watch, and a couple of titles in there that I was like, okay, maybe I'll check it out, but the couple of titles that did catch my attention did. I can't wait to find out more about some of these games that we only got a glimpse of. Yeah,
I'm so excited, and this was like E3 always was for me for many, many years until they started getting disappointing ever. It's like a second Christmas. I mean, really. This is coming this year. Holy shit. I'm so excited. I can get this for a real Christmas.
Right, yeah. Holy crap, they're making an FF7 remake?
Yeah. It's my childhood swarmed me, and I just so much awesome. This conference, this E3 was just very satisfying. Damn good.
Would you say it's favorable?
Yes, I would say it's favorable.
I hope Nate enjoys that. Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on and just kind of blabbering on about all this E3 breakdown stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Love geeking out.
Oh, man. So much great stuff. And that's really going to wrap it up, I think.
Yeah, well, it's been a long enough podcast, and we've definitely rambled on long enough.
Yeah, hopefully not too many tangents. There.
Yeah, we actually kept it pretty streamlined.
I tell you what, I know, man, and I've been getting some looks for getting off here and making some dinner. So why don't you go ahead and let our listeners know where they can find you again?
All right. Well, I'm Westicles on here. So I'm Westicles, and I do podcasts also for the BrandoCast podcast network. You can find us on YouTube, and we've also got the offshoot I mentioned earlier, the BrandoCast Gaming Network, where we do playthroughs, but that's just getting off the ground, so don't have a lot yet, but it's on the way. And then my personal podcast is the Fan's Perspective. That's one where we talk about comics, although, again, we've only done one of these, but I also have another podcast now, Pixelated Apocalypse, I think was the final title decision. That's how fresh it is, so I don't really even remember. And that one's about gaming, so
that's cool, man.
We've got all sorts of shit we're brewing up over here, so come see us on YouTube, listen to our podcasts, and have a good time, hopefully.
Oh man, that's awesome. I'll have to check out your gaming podcast when you get that out.
Yeah, we're gonna do an E3 review over on that one too, so
sweet.
That'll be coming up in the next couple days.
Awesome. With us, last week, of course, we had the 50th episode where we counted down the top 10 comic book characters. We gave all of our guests random comic origins. We had a Factor Crap trivia. We had movie mashup. We played a lot of games. It was a lot of fun. And
it was tons of fun.
Yeah. This week, of course, we covered E3. And thank you, Wes, again for coming on.
I'm always happy to.
Oh, man, it's been a blast. Can't wait to bring you back. And next week, we have a return to BrandoCast. couple months ago, a couple friends of mine came on the show. We did a podcast all about metal. We talked about all different types of genres and whatnot, played a few songs. And Nate joins us next week for that. Nick and Blaine are back to talk metal. Then we're finally going back into comics. I know we're going to have couple episodes deviate a little bit, but we're a nerdcast, so we talk about everything that we can.
Yep.
You know, July 5th, Journey into Comic Club returns, and we will be reviewing Batman Hush with Shuddy Boy from the Mad Scientist Party, our podcast, and Seek Donnelly coming back again. And I cannot wait to talk about that book. I love that book so much.
It is a damn fine book. I love it.
It is probably it's right up there with some of my favorite books. It's not my favorite Batman, but it's right up there.
Oh, there's some great Batmans, but that is, for a modern Batman, that is just an excellent fucking story.
Oh, it is. I can't wait to dive into that. In fact, that reminds me, I got to start reading it because I want to reread it before we talk about it. But that is gonna, I think, end our show, man. Thanks, Wes, again for coming on.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to do it anytime.
Hell yeah, dude. And everybody out there, go ahead and check us out on iTunes if you haven't already. We're all over the place. Just go to journeyintocomics.podbean.com. All of our links are on the site, our Facebooks, Instagrams. Check us out on YouTube. Hopefully new videos are coming soon once I get off my lazy ass. We're on Twitter. Sometimes use it, JIC Podcast. For Nate, who's not here, for Wes, thanks for coming on again. I'm Brando, and we will be checking you out later.